POV, you're Justin Chon, you're editing your movie. You're almost finished when you realized there's nothing heartbreaking, soul-crushing, and miserable in your movie yet, and your audience isn't crying. Better go back to shooting. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Half a Clue Movie Review. They already heard the intro music, Ronald.
Yeah, I thought that was a cold open. No.
You know, the other day, you were humming that, and I was like, what is that? I know that from somewhere. I was like, oh, that's us. But anyways, welcome back. This week we're talking about Justin Chon. I guess I forgot to introduce ourselves, so I'm your host, Blake, and I'm joined by...
Miles.
Ron. Historically, Ron goes first.
Oh, well, I'm cutting
You
in.
broke the fucking order, Miles! Oh,
I'm so sorry.
Historically, Ronald goes first.
Hi, I'm Ron.
This is Ron, everyone.
Hi.
I'm Jason.
Hi, Jason.
I'm Miles. Hi.
and there's Philip. That's the fucking order, Miles.
Okay.
Get it in order.
Well, on this week, we're going to be talking about a up-and-coming director who's made his fair share of really good movies, and I'm really excited for the future of his career. We're, of course, talking about Justin Chon, who has directed Miss Purple, most recently Blue Bayou. And Philip, you're probably going to have to say the title of this one.
Oh, Gook, yeah. Yeah, so, once again, rising Korean American filmmaker. He, after his sophomore film, Gook, because his first film was Man Up with Kev Jumbo. Mm. Right, he's made a big splash at the 2017 Sundance Film Festival with Gook, and ever since then he has taken the indie world by storm by making various films very specific to the Korean American experience. Right, whether it's about two Korean American brothers during the 1992 Los Angeles riots in Gook, a Korean hostess in Koreatown attempting to reconnect with her estranged brother while taking care of her ailing father in Miss Purple. All very happy premises, or a Korean American adopting New Orleans who faced deportation in Blue Bayou. Yeah. He's, Chon has this like unique ability to present an unfamiliar cultural perspective to his audience while gripping them with, very strong dramatic narratives and also very eloquent visuals.
Yeah, his movies are really pretty.
Yeah. One of the things I noticed about him is that his films are very slice of life style.
Yeah.
There's not really a driving overarching... Well, there is an overarching plot, but it's not really a driving force.
Specifically, Gook.
Yeah.
Gook is the best example of that.
It just kind of shows, going through a critical point in these people's lives that he follows and all the things that go into it. And you get to see more about their life than it is really about the story.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's almost... I guess I'll talk about it when we talk about Gook. But yeah, there's... Definitely, he's a huge cinephile, and, some of his big ones are Wong Kar-wai, John Luc Godard, and stuff like that, or, or his La Haine is his favorite. Mm-hmm. So, those films also kind of have that very loose feeling, but it's deceptive because there is a structure to it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But then he presents it in a way where it's structureless, which I think is some of the best type of filmmaking. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's great. It's like he went from, Wendy Wu, Homecoming Warrior, to side character
to Twilight.
I watched Wendy Wu recently. I think I talked about it on the podcast.
Yeah. And now he's He is now an award-winning filmmaker with bunch of projects lined up. Like he just recently, one of our clients almost, Ron and I, our clients almost actually worked on with Justin Chon on an Apple TV Plus series, the Pachinko.
Yeah.
And then and he did that. He shot that for a year. I'm excited for that. He's shooting that with my favorite video essay maker, Okanada, who did Columbus, another great film with the Korean American lead. I really cool turnaround. I didn't expect this at all. It's next thing you know, Zac Efron is gonna be the new, Steven Spielberg. I'm just like, whoa, okay. Yeah.
Is Justin Chon Korean or?
Yeah, no, it's surprising, right?
Yeah.
I liked Zac Efron in his 10 Minutes on the Beach Bum, the Harmony Korean movie.
Oh, right, yeah. Listen, that. Gosh, Zac Efron. He's kind of... I think he's trying to
What's
take
he
a
like
Matthew
been in?
He was in the Ted Bundy movie.
Was that good? Did anybody watch that?
He was good in it.
Was the movie good?
It was.
They're doing another Ted Bundy movie.
But,
they're always doing Ted Bundy.
But the guy who looks, I think, much better choice because he.
Yeah, he looks like Ted Bundy,
and he's also like. Have you guys seen the TV? I'm not asking, but The Deuce from the creators of The Wire on
Yeah,
HBO.
yeah.
You seen it?
No.
Okay. Miles. No, not Miles. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What's it called? The Jason. False Hope. Yeah, he was on the Deuce as playing a gay police chief. Fantastic in there.
You know, sometimes I think you might be a time traveler with how much content you are able to consume. It amazes me sometimes.
I just reduced the hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Know what I mean? Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah, it's always like
Jar Jar's the key to all of this.
Yep.
Yeah.
If we can get him working.
That's the call.
Well-
He's probably the biggest cinephile in the world, Jar Jar, and that's why
Yeah.
he's so annoying. He's like, "Oh, Misa." You know what I mean? That's probably a future.
Can we get a Disney Plus series about Jar Jar?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Just finally do the Darth Jar Jar story
I would
we've all been
love it.
craving.
Dude,
Yeah.
people were like really trying to quote unquote prove that was happening in Force Awakens. You were one of them, Miles.
Yeah, I was.
You talked to me for like 2 hours one time about how it was going to happen.
Yeah, but I was also trying to prove that Rey was Porkin's daughter.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Hey,
can't take my word
that
for
could have
it.
been fun.
Yeah.
That could have been fun. Anything better than the sequels that we got. Even
I like Last Jedi. I don't give a fuck. It's a conversation for another day, though.
what's it
Definitely
It
for another
definitely-
day.
called? That's for another
Yeah.
day. That's for another
we've
day.
had it many other days.
What's it called?
So should we talk about Breaking Bad?
All right, so the first one we're talking about is Gook. What's it called? It's brief synopsis. It's set during the first day, I think April 29th of the 1992 Los Angeles riots. Eli and Daniel are two Korean American brothers who try to preserve their late father's struggling shoe store in the predominantly African American community of Paramount, California. The two brothers develop a strong friendship with an 11-year-old African American girl, Camilla, much to the chagrin of Camilla's hot-headed brother, Keith. And that pretty much sums the whole plot.
Yeah.
Like, that really does. But yeah, this film, what's it called? It's how many of you guys seen the French film La Haine with Vincent Cassel?
I have not.
Not
Have
here.
you guys heard of it?
Philip, stop asking us
No.
if we've seen things.
If you don't tell us to watch them, you can't expect us to have seen them.
Oh my gosh.
Collectively,
You
we
guys-
probably
I-
still haven't seen as many movies as you.
Yeah.
You guys all need to like just get stabbed or something. What's it
Jeez.
called?
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
very, yeah, that's
Yeah.
very toxic.
That's
right
what
there.
that's what helps.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Watch more
it's-
movies.
No, like as you're dying too. You know
Be
what I mean?
bedridden and
What's it called? It's yeah, this film, Justin Chon very clearly kind of mentioned it, that this film was very influenced by the La Haine French film, which was like very kind of energetic, also kind of the very similar style, black and white. It's about three like different, like racially different characters, and they're blue collar workers in a kind of poor area, and they're trying to just get by the day and make whatever their thing succeed. And this, which is pretty much very similar to this one. Yeah, and also centering around three characters. I mean, two of them are Korean, but racially different and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Race relations is a thing. And it's, I think, like, it captures, it's a weird, he described it as like a weird American remake of that film. And I think he did it really fucking well considering the budget of this film. Yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed it. I thought the way that it was shot, and also the way that he portrayed all the characters was something that I noticed in all of his films, actually, is that he likes to portray gray characters. He doesn't like to portray people as all good or all evil. He likes to show everybody's flaws.
You're
and
saying
how-
it's realistic.
Sure. Yeah. And show that people are both good and evil. And that's something that, you know, we'll get to later when we talk about Blue Bayou. But at the same time, I thought that they did a really good job with the character development in this and leaving some mystery throughout it. And as you go through the movie, you start to learn about the reasons behind why people are doing what they're doing and why people feel the way they feel. And it just felt like it developed at a very steady pace,
Right.
and at the right pace too.
I agree with that. Yeah, it definitely, it's a lot to do with his direction and his choice to also like limit the amount of characters, so like the time could be dedicated. 'Cause it's a very, it's only an hour and a half.
yeah.
And then like, so you have a lot of character building scenes, whether it's like them, like this one long take of the what's it called, Eli, Daniel, and Camilla in like a shoe shop where Eli is getting mad at, you know, Daniel for trying to, for giving free shoes away to a bunch of like women that pass by. Or if it's like a scene of them, oh god, it was the what was the song, Aha? Is it?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's not-
Yeah.
Is that Aha? The song
Where they're
to?
dancing. Yeah, I think it was. I don't fucking know. Yeah, that was a good scene. It was fun.
Yeah, and then stuff like that. And that seems like when we get to like film influences and stuff like that, I think definitely this is like, yeah, this is like you like in the sense that he said like a Tarantino where he's pulling in a lot of different type of films and making it, but putting his own unique spin on it. Yeah,
I had something kind of interesting to say about this one. It felt like a movie from like 2002. Do you know what I mean by that? It felt like very much. And by the way, I should say that that's like a weird era of movies that I really like. The early 2000s, kind of like gritty, close up, black and white. Just like, I don't know, like taking place in one location, like up and coming directors having their debuts. It felt very much like that, and I like that a lot.
that's more 1990s.
So
Yeah, no, well, 90s and 2000s.
It gave me a lot of vibes from American History X, not just because it's Southern California dealing with race relations in black and white, but it like in the 90s. But it kind of gave me that like
I don't know, it just
good feeling, and I think that like it gets
it felt very reminiscent of like the energy of like, I don't know, a lot of other movies that came out in like the 90s and 2000s, like Following, Pie, Clerks. Do you know what I mean? It has that like I don't know.
I was getting heavy Clerks vibes.
Yeah,
like
that's
a miserable, sad version of Clerks.
Yeah,
So-
he has. I couldn't find the joke, but he said one of the dialogue is a direct reference to Clerks. And
Miles, would you have to say?
So when I was watching this film, I didn't know much about Justin Chon. Actually, I didn't know anything about him. And this was the first of his films that I watched. I didn't know that it was shot in 2017.
Yeah.
So I was watching through the movie and I was like, oh, this is late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, it feels like that in the
until I
2000s.
saw one scene where it's just shooting down a street. And I see all the cars on the side, and I'm like, "Those are modern cars."
Yeah, it's
And-
continuity
yeah.
errors.
And that was the one thing that made me like, "Oh, wait, is this more modern than I thought?"
Yeah.
And then I looked it up, and I was like, "Wow, 2017! It really didn't
By the way,
feel like that."
this adds to the fuel that 2017 was a beast year for movies.
Yeah.
2017, man.
like Call Me by Your Name.
there was
what's it
so
called?
much shit that came
Blade
out in
Runner
2017.
2049, Shape of
Yeah.
Water, Dunkirk. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a beast
I would take Dunkirk off the list.
I mean, because
though.
he had bad
Yeah.
taste, but you know, I'm just
Boo.
kidding.
Look, is Dunkirk the worst piece of shit movie ever made?
Is Blake the worst piece of shit movie we ever made? Just kidding.
Most likely,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, well, other than Justin Chon, obviously the films we watch here, and Minari. How familiar are you guys with like Korean American cinema?
I am not.
That's it.
yeah.
That's it. Justin Chon and Minari.
I've seen Asian American cinema.
Yeah, not the same, but okay.
Yeah, I'd say about goes the same for me. Up to Minari.
Yeah, I get that because it's like it's really small, honestly. There's
Yeah.
like,
But I mean, I've enjoyed all
Yeah, me
of
too.
them. Like,
yeah, they're pretty. Like for viewers, audio only listeners, which is all of you. It's the other ones I recommend is The Motel, which has Sung Kang on it or Sung Kang, and Columbus, which is I mentioned that earlier and stuff like that.
yeah.
Yeah, that one has John Cho.
Okay.
Yeah, and that one's about
I really like John Cho.
Yeah, me too.
yeah, dude. Oh my gosh, Spike Spiegel, Cowboy Bebop. Who watched? Oh my god, I'm not even gonna ask who
I've
watched.
been
Cowboy
watching
Bebop.
Ugly Betty and John
I
Cho
did.
shows.
Oh, you
me.
did?
Yes.
Oh, God bless. Yes, Miles. Yes.
You know I'm an anime fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You saw the? Did you see the?
Does
release,
Harold and
the opening
Kumar qualify as
I can't
Asian
do
American
Definitely
cinema?
not.
Oh my god. Oh no.
I've been watching Ugly Betty and John Cho showed up, so I'm basically an expert.
Okay, but yeah, but you know, bad show. But
Oh, I disagree. We'll have to talk about it.
yeah, the,
maybe later.
Rebecca Ramjan,
Rebecca Romaine.
Romaine as
Ramjan.
the
Ramjan.
as a transgender character. Okay, like okay, but
I
whatever.
mean, that if I do want to talk about it eventually. We'll talk about that.
What's it called? It's okay. Well, back on topic, but yeah, it's a growing genre. It's thankfully Justin Chon and Okanada and you know, Lee Isaac Chun are kind of leading the charge and kind of making more of this. Is you know, not much. You could literally when you go onto like Wikipedia or just lists of things, it's like 10. It's like super fucking small.
It's so full of life, though, even without that. And that's what I think I appreciate. Is a lot of this movie, like Miles said, is just very slice of life. It's just I love movies that take place in like stores for some reason, like Clerks or like even like different genre, but like The Mist. Like I love when we just hang out in like a small little store, and it's very full of life. It's very full of human emotion, which I like.
Specifically Kamala. She was great.
Wait, Kamala?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wait,
Camilla.
Camilla, right?
Camilla.
I Doesn't matter.
No, it's pretty different. You know what I mean?
I mean, there's like
I was thinking
the
Kamala.
sound of the A is a little different,
I was thinking, are you about to say like Kamala Harris in this film?
I feel like they pronounced it Kamala at points.
No, it's
but
Kamala.
Was that a young Kamala Harris right there?
Oh
that
my
they were
god! I'm
taking
not.
care of?
No, that's what we're thinking out. Oh my god. No.
Anyway, so
anyway,
Camilla's
Camilla
character.
is hey, she was great from like the moment she first appeared on screen. I was just like, she's got something. Like
Definitely
she's
the driving
Simone-
force of the movie.
Yeah, Simone Baker, who plays her, she's a pretty interesting casting story. It's like you know, he auditioned like hundreds of people, and then because you know he used to be Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, all that stuff, so he had connects. So he interviewed all the like African American child actors, but he said they all got that like clean polished look, like, hey Eli, I'm coming to town today.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna eat some pork chow on bao, and then like it's like. So like, you know, there was that to it, but then, you know, there's no natural authenticity that he was looking for.
Mhm.
I can tell like in this film when we get into acting that he mixes something that Lynn Ramsey does a lot, where she puts a lot of non-actors and professional actors together, and then they kind of mix them so much where you can't really tell the difference. You can in Blue Bayou and stuff. Yeah, she was just outside of South Central, like a South Central building, and you know, she was just like dancing or singing, and he was like, okay, I think that's the one.
Wow.
And they were like, tell her to audition. And then they were like, but we have all these Disney channels. No. Tell her to audition. And then they auditioned and they were like, okay, we should still like, no, she's the one. Yeah. And then it was just good. You know, it worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, she seems like
Worked
she's
out really
perfect.
well.
She
Yeah.
brought a certain energy to the film that
Yeah.
was very unique because she felt like her own little special little flower.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, yeah, like that, they kind of trick you with that opening sequence where she's dancing with the flames. So spoilers alert, but like, you know, by the end, I thought like, oh, she's gonna pull through, right? Because we got her dancing in front of the flames.
Yeah.
And then as it kept progressing, I was like, oh no, wait.
Justin Chong is contractually obligated to make you cry every movie he makes.
Yeah, that's like I've noticed like one of his director trademarks. Not so Miss Purple, but like in Blue Bayou where he does in media res, where he like or he likes to just like open up with like what's it called, like a tragic or near like one of the final images of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then stuff like that. And like Blue Bayou opens up the same way, weirdly enough. A brief background on just the setting and kind of the, you know, political and racial climate for this film. April 29th was the first day of the riots, but 1 year before then, Latasha Harlins, she was a black ninth grader who was shot and killed by the Korean storekeeper Sunjadu, and you know, she was guilty, but Judge Joyce Carlin only sentenced her to 5-year probation, 400 years of community service.
400 years?
Not 400 years, 400 hours.
God.
400 hours of community service and a $500 fine. A $500 fine.
Yikes.
Basically saying like the life of this kid was less than like a used car.
Yeah.
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 So, and then as a result of that, that was like a year before, the relationship between the Korean American community and the African American community was at an all-time low.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where you know, artists like
Ice
Ice
Cube.
Cube came
Yeah,
out with a
the
song
song.
called Black Korea, and yeah, the tensions were an all-time high.
And then, you know, and obviously it was already at a bottleneck. And then Rodney King happened. He was, you know, beaten by the police, and the police were acquitted. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
no justice,
Yep.
and everything blew up.
Yeah, I that's like where I don't know. I think Justin Chon's biggest strength is the performances that he gets out of all these actors and everything.
Yeah. David So.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
comedian.
YouTuber.
The YouTube
Yeah.
comedian, yeah.
Yeah.
Really good, by the way.
Yeah,
maybe,
he was
maybe my favorite
great.
performance in the movie, actually.
I used to watch Just Kidding News all the time. You ever watch that?
Yes, I am.
And like when I saw him in this, I was like, "Who is that? He looks familiar." I looked him up. I was like, "Fucking David So,"
Yeah, he
and
had
he
the-
kills it. He's so good.
He had the UCLA video. Remember when there was like the UCLA Asian rant from the white girl or something?
Yeah, yeah.
And then he made a video where he's like saying, "Oh, you know, it's like don't shit on Asian people. We could like break apart your car and make it into an airplane." What's it called? Yeah, this role was specifically because they're best friends or something.
Oh,
Justin
really?
Chon, yeah. And he specifically wrote this for David So. Like the character was like a character that could sing, who's funny, who likes to flirt with girls,
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and likes hip hop. He's like, okay, that's you. You know what I mean?
R&B.
Yeah. Is that a dog?
I loved his performance. He might be my favorite in the movie.
Yeah.
Well, I was
Yeah.
gonna say mine is definitely Curtis Cook Jr. As Keith.
Oh, it's Keith.
Yeah, he's good
Yeah,
too.
I loved it's. You kind of think it's just gonna be one way, right?
No, it's
but
not.
yeah, like how Miles was saying, Justin Chon, he really kind of has those gray characters. Like you understand his perspective to a certain extent. It's like he's kind of fallen in this life. He's coming in from this
and
broken
he's
home.
Still grieving his mother.
Yeah, and he just
Yeah.
doesn't like he's trying his best, in his mind, he harbors this resentment towards Eli and Daniel, and it's like really unbased, really. Like
Yeah,
you kind of get it. It's
unwarranted,
just,
But I guess
but
from his
you
perspective-
get
Yeah.
it.
So should we go over the backstory real quick
Like why?
there's that conflict?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
personal conflict
So-
at least.
So Eli and Daniel's dad, what's it called, used to own the struggling shoe store they have now. Before it was like sneakers or something.
I think it said like sports shoes. Or
Sports shoes,
athletic
yeah,
wear.
yeah. Camilla's mom, used to work there with Mr. Kim and their Eli's dad, but I guess because he didn't want to give us some money or they were held up. Camilla and Keith's mom and Eli's dad, they both die in a
was
robbery
shot.
gone wrong. Yeah.
And one of the strongest things to come out of that is the sense of responsibility and differences in cultural values, I think, are very evident because Keith thinks that they should be taking responsibility for his mom's death.
Mhm.
And he doesn't realize that they already are. And that's why they care so much for Camilla.
Yeah.
And they feel guilty about what happened to his mom, but he doesn't see that because from his cultural perspective, they didn't apologize. They
he thinks that they're
aren't-
using her too. Like they're just
Yeah.
trying to
Mhm.
get free
And that's
labor
how
out of her or something.
Yeah. And which is all honestly like a totally believable perspective of a
Exactly.
kid
Yeah.
that age
Yeah.
would have.
Mm-hmm.
What's it called?
Yeah, and I like that you just see so much anger and frustration and anxiety that's just built up in him. And for me, like this, the most heartbreaking scene was after they take Camille to the hospital, and then
Yeah.
he just starts beating the shit out of Eli, just punching him and everything, and then he just starts punching himself, and he's just basically he's just saying the same thing. You fucked up, or like, what does he say? Like
You
an i-
fucked- is it
like
you
it's
fucked
like
up?
you
She's done,
idiot, you
dumb-
idiot,
dumb fuck,
yeah,
dumb
you dumb fuck, and he's just punching himself,
And then
it's like
Eli gets up and like stops him.
yeah,
That's my favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
for me,
So
just
brutal.
Oh, yeah.
just
Yeah.
so powerful and just
Well,
just cut me.
And then to me, the most powerful scene is where he goes back to the shoe store afterwards and he just shakes his head just a little bit. And you're like, fuck, Camilla's dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was good. That was a subtle way, no
didn't-
dialogue.
Yeah, didn't even say it. And that's another thing about this movie. There was very little exposition.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
all the exposition seemed very
Very
well
natural.
blended into it.
Mhm.
Because they, you only pick up the backstory that we just talked about from a couple lines of dialogue. And it all seemed to flow very naturally, from
Yeah.
character motivations.
Yeah,
Because of the grocery store owner,
Mr. Kim.
Yeah,
Mr.
Mr.
Kim.
Kim, the liquor store owner. He was a very strong character. At the beginning of the movie, I didn't really like him all that much.
Yeah.
Um,
Once you
But
learn more
You
about his
gain
backstory.
perspective
He
as
became
you
a
do on
very-
all these
yeah.
characters.
Yeah.
very
Yeah,
strong
like
character.
he what's it called? He has a history with Eli's dad. They went to the Korean military together, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
Like after a certain age, 18 or after college, you're forced to go to the military.
Yeah.
The whole North Korean threat, and then afterwards they just came over to the U.S. to make a business together to pursue the American dream. But look, that
Well,
ended tragically
for the
Eli's
kids
dad.
is
Yeah, and
what
also
they
the
said.
kids,
Yeah, to give the kids a better life.
Yeah.
And I think it really questions that mentality as well, because when he's like, yeah, we came here to give you a better life, and then I feel like in that moment Eli is like thinking, it's like, is it better?
Yeah.
Like, is this really better than just if we stayed back there? Like if we were just there, like I don't know.
Well, I think that's a question that he brings up in a lot of his films.
yeah.
Actually, all three of them, there was elements of that. It's like, Korean Americans coming here, and then they're kind of questioning, was this where I was supposed to be? Would it have been better to have stayed? Is being here in America that much better than being
Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I think it's a
back
big
where I was.
question and a big thing that immigrants in general just face every day, right? Because it's
Mm-hmm.
such a huge decision, and we'll definitely get into that more when we get into the later movie. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's It's a really tough question to bring to the surface, and I think handled very well for the most part. But
yeah, it's like there's no straight answer regarding this issue and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then what's it called? It's I like also how like the lack of knowledge, because a lot of Korean Americans are disassociated with their their Korean roots because of like, you know, whether it's whitewashed or they're just being assimilated into the American culture. When Daniel was like, oh, I thought that was a rumor that, you know, after 18 or something that all Korean men have to go to the military. Right? Yeah, and then what's it called? But that's very common knowledge. In Korea and stuff like that. So it's like, you know, and I did like them illustrating that part, and it was really good. And I also like the fact that Mr. Kim spoke in like Korean and occasionally English, but they always responded in English with occasional Korean. Like it was like flip flop. Because that's like how, like, what's it called? Honestly, that's how sometimes I interact with. Well, I mean, I speak more Korean than Eli and Daniel, but like that's how like either my cousins interact with like my grandparents, or how I have other like brothers, like my sister, with some certain people who only speak Korean but they understand some English.
I definitely feel that too, like my family, where it's like I'll predominantly speak English to my parents, but like they usually speak to me in Spanish, or like other family members when there's certain family members, you know, you have to speak Spanish with. And it's
that like bilingual aspect of like, you know, a lot of immigrant families. Yeah. And then, you know, going back to Miles' point about like, you know, whether it was the, you know, better choice for a lot of Korean immigrants that come over here. And there was like this big, especially the 80s to the 90s. I don't know what's it called. I don't know. It was like after the Korean War, like, you know, Koreans became really disillusioned with, you know, what's it called, the government or the safety. They're like always fearful of the other thing and the imposing of the military after the age 18. Mm-hmm. And they were really seduced by, you know, the whole American dream, whether it was like the films or whether it's, oh gosh, who's the guys who did Hungry Like a Tiger and Rio? Duran.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like those type of
Hungry
artists.
Like the Wolf.
Yeah, Hungry Like a Wolf. Hungry Like a Wolf. Yeah, and then and like, you know, that type of culture.
Duran was big in Korea.
Yeah, it was super big in Korea. I'm talking about like, well, to this day, it's like on their Kiss FM type radio.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's like, so that kind of was like really useful. I mean, even if you look at our music, like, and after NSYNC, there was K-pop. You know, the K-pop boy bands and stuff like that. And but somehow we never grew out of that. We're still in that, but it's
bigger than ever.
Yeah. So you have a lot of you know, Koreans that have these well-established careers, well-established lives there, but then because of the seduction of the American dream, they kind of abandon everything and go over here, which is, what's it called? It's, you know, retrospectively might have worked for some, not for a lot of others, especially now with like Korea's kind of like a first world country.
Yeah, well, I always reflect on it like when we watch The Wailing, you know, you're looking at little towns like that, and in Korea, and you know, just other Korean films that you've talked about and showed me. Yeah. And it seems like, in the cities in Korea, it's, you know, metropolitan and it's first world country, but there are a lot of places there where it's still, you know, seems beneficial to some people, or might seem beneficial to get out of that situation because they feel like there's no way to move forward.
Yeah. I mean, it's like that type of structure is very similar to like America. Like we have, like, as you see Blue Bayou, we have like the South.
Come to the U.S. where upward mobility is always readily available.
But I think the problem is they're getting their image of the U.S. from media.
From media, yes.
And especially during the 80s and the 90s and stuff like that. So they were coming over here thinking, oh yeah, everybody lives the great
like everyone can make a small business type of thing. That's what happened with pretty much, actually, honestly, what's it called? The Eli and Daniel will be around the same, might have been around the same age that my dad is, or the Riots or something. And then they came over here. My grandpa was on my dad's side was a very successful businessman. And he, you know, what's it called, stocks and stuff like that. But, you know, he was very seduced by the idea of a better dream for the kids, and like the kids could take storm. They were like, oh wow, if they could be a president, like anybody could be a president, right? But in Korea, it's like, you know, it's very much more of a political play system, but which is also like in America. Exactly. But they were like seduced by that thing, right?
Let's be honest here.
Yeah, and then so, you know, he came over here. He gave up all his business, his house, and he came here. And he made a hot dog business, thinking it was gonna be like the next big, you know, like Frankfurter, but you know, it didn't pan out. But and then you know my like family life on my dad's end are completely upended, and I think to this day he's, you know, still pretty bitter because like, you know, he was like let's say he was a upper class in Korea, but when he came to America, he was like basically below middle class, right? And then I think that's kind of reflected right here. Like, probably if Eli's dad was there, he might have been at like middle class by their standard and stuff like that, because it wasn't that bad in the 90s in Korea. You know what I mean? I know in the 80s it got fucked because our president literally sent down, not our president. I'm not in Korea, but then the Korean president sent down troops and shot like citizens and shit. Yeah, it was a whole thing. They were like, oh, they're North Koreans, shoot them.
Well, do you have dual citizenship?
I think I have to double check. I think I'm actually,
that was one of the things that like I found out later, that I could have had dual citizenship, but like my parents just like never filed the paperwork, and I was like, damn it! I was like, that would have been so cool.
I think I do, because I remember like I was like, when I go to Korea, I get like free healthcare and I have my own like ID and stuff.
Oh,
but then it's like, but it doesn't say like Philip; it just says like Changsu.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and stuff like that, because they're like, this. Like,
yeah, it's weird. That's what mine says too.
I know exactly. Right? Well, we have the same names. You're like looking in a mirror, Right? So I mean, it's cool. It's like I do like that they kind of touch upon that and stuff like that, and I'm kind of thinking like, did my dad go through his own like weird crisis and stuff like that? Because like he also like was like. He was also trying to just stick with like his own crowd and other Koreans. It was really hard and stuff like that. He lived around LA for a little bit. And then he had a friend's dad who, crazy ass story. In the Koreatown riots, when they were rioting, it was at a church. They were coming in from all different angles, but then like all the pastors and priests, they were armed with rifles because they were like trained in like the military and stuff.
Yeah.
And they were just like,
fucking A.
Yeah, they were straight up like just at the windows and like basically shooting.
Yeah.
At the rioters coming by, and it was like crazy ass shit. And I'm thinking like, yeah, it's a crazy time. Like the fact that it actually happened in like a place that's like 50 minutes away from where we live right now.
Oh yeah. I remember my parents used to talk about the riots, but like thankfully by that point they had already gotten out of LA. But they were just like, never again. And I feel like that's always stained their view of LA. It's always just like, LA's just fucking dangerous. Which I totally understand, because they lived there from the 80s into like the early 90s. So it's like, that's like the worst time to be in LA.
Yeah. Well, actually, my parents, when they first came out here from Illinois, they lived in LA for a while, and actually around the Compton area.
Oh, wow.
And
wait, why?
What?
Wait, why? Why out of all the areas? You know what I mean?
Because of the hospital that my dad was working at, and cheap rent and things like that. And my mom would actually go shopping at the local supermarket, and she was always amazed with how helpful everybody was. She didn't understand, really. She was amazed with how helpful all the people were at the supermarket, and the manager was always there to help her if she needed anything. Well, it turns out that she was the only white girl around, so the manager was following her around to make sure that nobody like killed her or something.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And and she found out about that afterwards, because I guess somebody got shot down the street from them, and she was like, "Oh shit, I didn't realize this area was dangerous." Yeah.
That's wild.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I remember my mom telling me, I mean, it's just not totally kind of random, but like I just like when she was riding home from work one day on the bus, like in public, and this dude, like these guys tried to rob him for his chain or something, and he just refusing to give it away, and then they just stabbed him and just threw him right off the bus, and the bus driver didn't even stop. And my mom was like, we have to get the fuck out of LA. That was like the final straw. It's like, we're moving. This is like just way too much. So LA in the 90s was rough. Yeah. And especially the late 80s. That's when everything, obviously was spinning out of control, honestly.
My gosh, 90s explosion.
Yeah.
And what's it called? And I think this film, like, because I know they're like...
it really captures that very well.
Yeah.
Everything just feels so downtrodden,
Yeah.
Even when like nothing sad or emotional is happening, it's just you get this sense of just
everything's so run down in the background too.
How much does it say that like because they shot in Paramount or in South Central stuff, that like it still looks run down even since 1992 to now? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think that it says a lot about LA and its current condition, because it's like it looks pretty damn rough. Still, there's lots of places we can go where it's just
Skid Row and shit.
Yeah, and
which is right next to like the Arts District, so it's like if you've ever walked around that area, it's almost trippy, like how it goes from nice to bad real fast.
Yeah.
I mean, that has a lot to do with that's a phrase I'm escaping.
Gentrification?
Yeah, gentrifying those areas because they'll just drop these like really fucking expensive houses right in the middle of these rough areas just because it's just cheaper real estate, and then they just flip it. I think the way that they did it, like the way they shot this with the 2:35 aspect ratio using those anamorphic lenses, it shows just you get a more sense of the environment and the characters within it, especially those long shots like the one where they're arguing in the shoe store and everything. They're both on the way ends of the
Camilla, like right in the middle.
In the center.
Oh yeah, that's one of the best shots of the whole movie too.
Yeah, I'm surprised for like it's not his first film. I don't really count. I mean, I guess Man Up is his first film.
Hey, Kev Jumba. Respect the Jumba.
So I guess in his sophomore film that he chose to shoot it this way with the anamorphic lens and stuff like that. Like really bold because the wider the aspect ratio, the more shit you have to do for your production design. Yeah, and the less you could get away with. Yeah.
But I think it was the perfect choice.
Yeah. The one thing that I did notice though is that Eli's character seemed kind of bipolar throughout the entire movie.
I was gonna bring that up. It felt like tonally different scene to scene.
Yeah, he would just like jump from being, this kind, compassionate, caring person to just getting all angry all of a sudden. And
it makes sense to me.
It definitely made sense. It's just that
like
it felt kind of weird. It like made it more impactful actually, I feel, when he did get angry at his brother.
I saw it
and when he did get angry at Camilla.
Or like the opening sequence, like he's like, oh shit, like those guys are coming down the street. He's like, oh, I gotta get the fuck out of here. And like I expected him to just keep walking, when the guys started hauling it or yelling at him. But he's just like, no, fuck you. Like, and then he got the shit kicked out of him. Like, he definitely is a hothead.
Yeah.
Like, he has a temper.
He's a hothead and he's got a huge shell on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like many Korean Americans.
I don't know. I think that's a great performance too, Eli.
Yeah. Justin Chon. Yeah, Justin Chon. Fantastic. Like, what's called, like, it's really, this is a film that really surprised me about Justin Chon. Where I was like, not saying I was dismissing him and stuff like that. Like, I was always interested in, like, he was a big cinephile and, podcast appearances and talk about stuff. But then, like, it was kind of like the Bill Hader guy where I was like, he seems like he knows a lot about film. When is he going to be in something good?
Yeah.
And then Bill Hader was on Barry. I think this was, like, for me, his Barry, even though it came up before. Yeah. I was like, Justin Chon, my gosh.
Really quick. I don't know if this is too obvious or maybe just dumb or maybe I'm dumb. Does this remind anyone else of Do the Right Thing at all? Just a movie about racial tensions that takes place in like a small business and it's about two races that kind of have animosity towards each other.
Yeah, it's like during the LA riots.
Yeah. No. Do the Right Thing is not in the LA riots.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, that's like 1980. The film came out like 1989 and it's about New York and stuff.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen Do the Right Thing?
Yes. Oh wait, Spike Lee. Have you guys seen? No,
I brought it up.
I know, but I mean other Spike Lee films.
I have seen other by him. I just can't think of it in the top of my head.
Seen Old Boy.
I saw He Got Game.
He Got Game, yeah.
The Old Boy remake.
I saw the Old Boy remake.
That may have been the only Spike Lee movie I've seen.
Black KK Klansman.
Oh yeah. I've seen it. It's good.
Well, I mean, this like, well, let's go into like film influence. He says that like this is like what's it called? Like we talked about like his own weird remake of La Haine and stuff like that, and we talked about how like the parallels between that, but also like it's also he said it's like his most Tarantino of his films.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Actually,
yeah, because he's like mixing in like what's it called? He's mixing in La Haine, which was the black and white. He says it's not from Clerks, it's from La Haine, and then what's it called? But also like he's a big Spike Lee aficionado, and like his Spike Lee early films like She's Gotta Have It and stuff was black and white, and that was also about all his films were about race relation and stuff like that, and it also has. Like if you guys watch his films, long sequences where it's just like it has nothing to do with the main central plot, but it's just about characters talking about social commentary or doing things with each other that reveal something about the racial hotspot that they're in. That's
the best thing about Do the Right Thing, which we should cover at some point.
Yeah. And then what's it called? With Do the Right Thing, they have the same film conclusion. I mean, they also burn down the store and. This is as a sign. It was like a sign of like like what's called racial conflict and stuff like that. And then besides La Haine and the Spike Lee films, when you have Jesus, the bicycle shot. Have you guys seen Manhattan by Woody Allen?
No.
I'm assuming you guys haven't seen any Woody Allen films.
I think I've seen one.
Midnight Paris?
Yeah, Midnight
No,
in Paris
I
is a
did
good
Yeah,
movie.
you seen Midnight
Yeah.
Paris, right?
I have not.
Oh, okay, then never mind.
Owen Wilson saying "wow" a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's it
Wow,
called?
who would have
What's-
guessed?
Yeah.
His own Woody Allen surrogate.
Yeah.
But yeah, that also like he took that shot straight up, or actually, there's a lot of bicycle shots and or like panning left to right, of, like like
Yeah.
those shots and stuff like that. And then Richard Linklater's film Slacker and Kevin Smith's film Clerks, which also has long extended sequences of just characters
Talking.
talking and discussing and interacting. Where it's mostly just about their idiosyncrasies and less about like what's called
The
propelling
plot.
the plot
Yeah.
forward. But there is a plot, which is like what's called how they're dealing with this. You have Daniel and his whole plot line with what's it called? Like he wants to be an R&B singer, which in the '90s is ridiculous. A Korean R&B singer in America, like not gonna fucking happen. but it's like, but he was good, and what's it called? And that they followed that all the way through, like even with the dog barking and him throwing and stuff like that.
Yeah,
yeah.
that was one of the
hard.
best moments in the movie when they're just sitting in the car and Daniel's listening to his demo, and Eli's just like, "Is that a dog barking?" Daniel just pulls it out and chucks it. He's just so mad.
Dude,
It's
Daniel
like,
gets his ass fucking whooped in this.
multiple
Yeah.
times.
Yeah. First by Keith. Then after that, it gets from the LA riots and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And then almost by Keith again, but they luckily got on top.
Yeah.
It's like Daniel's like a really heartbreak. David So said this one should have been called Daniel Gets His Ass Beat. Thing. It's like he's like this is Ferris Bueller, but with a Korean guy getting his ass whipped all day.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the most powerful scenes where they just drove right into where the LA riots were happening.
Yeah.
And you just see instantly it goes from like calm and fine to just like shit's going down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that was a little bit scary for me when I first watched it in like 2017, where it's like he got dragged out of the car and he was like, help me, but then the guy didn't really help at all.
Yeah.
And then but then it was like immediately that has like a touching end to his story where I mean that wasn't really the end, but when Mr. Kim picked him up.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love how the car stops. He doesn't know who's in the car, and he's just walking down the street. He doesn't have any shoes on. He's just fucked
Just
up.
fucking kill me.
And a car stops, and he's just like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like he just thinks he's gonna get his ass beat again.
Yeah.
But it's Mr. Kim, and he's there to help. Mr. Kim's hilarious, by the way.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's played by Justin Chon's
yeah.
dad. Yeah.
Yeah, I love when Eli goes in there, and he's just like, "Did you pull a gun on a little girl?" He's like, "Yeah."
Fuck you. And he just takes like the beers and stuff like that.
Always fuck with you.
Yeah.
He sticks to the 40s and the fucking Twinkies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steals an entire box of Twinkies.
'Cause at first when I watched it, I was like, he looks a lot like Eli.
Yeah.
And then I was like, because it's like
It's his dad.
His dad. His dad was like, I asked my mom, like he was a famous child actor in the '60s
Oh, really?
in Korea and
Huh.
stuff. Yeah, so he had like a lot of acting experience.
Yeah, he had to do some convincing to get his dad into this
Yeah, that's what
movie.
I
Yeah,
heard.
yeah. And this his dad was like, I only want to work a certain amount of time in the night, but like most of the film is taking place during the night. It was just hilarious. Yeah, and this film, what's it called? Yeah, I like the performances. I also, what do you guys think about? And we'll get into this later on, also, and to other maybe mixed results, but he does the Lynn Ramsey thing with professional actors, first time actors, not local actors. Did it enhance the authenticity of the film? Because that's what his purpose was. Or did it kind of detract from some of the film's dramatic scenes?
I thought
It
everyone
felt
was great.
real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought everything
There
felt
wasn't a weak performance in the
honest.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell that anybody was not a professional actor.
Mhm.
I had no idea David
Yeah.
So was a YouTuber.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was so surprised when I saw him in this, especially like
gave a great
I saw him.
performance.
Oh, really? He was like big in Diamond Bar. Yeah. He has like shit on the fucking Diamond Bar news announcement and stuff.
Well, whatever.
I
This
had no
guy.
idea.
What's
Yeah.
it called?
I saw him in it for like the first 30 seconds. I'm like, all right, I gotta look this guy up. He looks too familiar. It's David So. I'm like, oh no, it's David So in a dramatic movie, and
He's
he
great.
completely blew me away.
It's one of his only acting performances.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
I think, and like I said, I really just think that's my favorite performance in the whole movie.
Yeah,
Yeah. He was good too. Yeah.
Well, and I think that also shows how good of a director Justin Chon is.
Yeah.
That he's able to get
These
people that are
performances.
just normal
Yeah,
people to
'cause,
give
like-
such excellent performances.
Because he wrote a role that's not too far off from him. He just needs to heighten it up just a little bit.
yeah, yeah.
So as a result, it's
No,
naturalistic.
It was almost
It-
as good as like the character directing in Glass. You know what I mean?
Jesus.
Oh
Or
gosh.
old.
That's
Or
cool.
sorry, old. That's what I meant to
Yeah.
say.
Glass was bad too. Like the
Yeah.
character. Yeah. But Oh, what do you guys think about the black and white cinematography? Was it gimmicky or did it fit?
I think it fits really well.
So I had some pretty big thoughts on it. I think that it did a great job of portraying what he was trying to portray, by getting rid of all the colors, and especially, a lot of LA is known for, gangs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It kind of got rid of that whole idea of, all these different groups of people, and it brought everybody together as kind of just one group of people, and the conflict that was happening was purely just a personal conflict. And even though it was taking place during the LA riot, it felt like a lot of it was kind of disconnected from racism and the different animosities of Korean people versus black people. And it felt like it really centered in on the personal conflict instead of a racial conflict.
Yeah.
Because of that. Yeah.
I agree. And then what's it called? I know like people, like someone was giving a similar place to him when he was talking about black and white. He said, "Oh, the main reason I did it is because we had no money." And then like he was hiding it and stuff.
Was
but
this
he
filmed
said
on
that
film?
no, it was shot on a digital Red
Okay.
Red Dragon and stuff like that, 6K RAW. But it's but he said that but it ultimately enhanced his story because, as what you said, and also people when they see black and white, they immediately think a period piece. So he has less time to do convincing that, if it's if he did color, then he would have to spend a lot more money in production design. Also, black and white just kind of highlighted the dour nature of the film.
Yeah. And also, well, how I was talking earlier about the scene that I saw where there were modern cars on the road? Mm-hmm. They were way less noticeable, I think, because it was in black and white also.
Sure.
I think that it made it a lot easier to shoot on real locations and still portray that it was, from this era, not from the modern era.
Yeah, except there was one scene near the end, though. It was when he's driving in his car and he's just crying after he leaving the hospital. Yeah. The car that pulled up next to him was not a car from 1992. It was distracting. I'm like, that's like a fucking Tesla or something.
It's because when they shot the film, they didn't even have all the budget yet.
Yeah,
they just shot the film first with whatever money they could raise. And then they had no idea whether they had enough money to actually finish the film. So they went to Kickstarter and raised like $56,000 or something.
Oh wow!
To finish up the rest of the film.
Wow!
And they got lucky, they made their money back, and that kind of steamrolled to his next movie and stuff like that, which also used Kickstarter. Oh, my bad. What about the music? Do you guys because it has a mix between 1990s licensed music and also his string-based score from the guy who makes all his music, Roger Swin. What do you think of the score?
I think it worked.
It was fantastic. It was one of the strongest points for me, along with the visuals. I just love seeing LA shot in black and white. But I know the opening sequence with her dancing in front of the flames.
Yeah. Oh, I was talking about the music. The music score.
With the music.
Oh, the music. Oh my god. Yeah.
With the music playing as she's dancing there, it just felt really good, just perfect. And then near the end, with the final score, just really left an impact, I think.
Yeah. You guys know that the cinematographer and the editors were they were still in college while making this film.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But now they're not. They're his regular collaborators and stuff. And they made a full-time career with this shit.
I mean, that's pretty awesome that, he was able to elevate them through that.
Yeah, because he said that he purposely wanted to get people, he didn't want to get industry veterans because he said that, a lot of times when working with them, they're very jaded. They're like, oh, this can't work for this practical reason. But then, with, new fresh face, they're just fuck yeah, we could do anything. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I agree with Jason's criticism that shit did bother me, the cars and stuff.
It wasn't a big complaint, but, it was this real emotional moment, and I was just like, what kind of car is that?
Well, and also, there's not really much you can do about that sometimes.
They shot without permits. They just,
I'm sure he was just driving around the city, and they got the shot. It was probably his best performance, best take.
Yeah.
And they're just like, fuck it.
And
whatever.
luckily it was black and white, so it wasn't as distracting.
Yeah.
And then what else? It's my other criticism is the wonder. I know you guys said that was a pretty powerful scene. And I agree when what's it called? Keith was punching himself like dumb fuck.
Yeah.
But in between when they got in the hospital, because they just followed him the entire time, and until the point where Keith was beating up Justin Chon's character and stuff. Eli, it kind of took me out of it a point because
his voice.
Yeah, not even just before he started punching, all that scene.
No,
when they were carrying and stuff, whether it was his voice or whether it was there's not that much blood coming from and stuff like that, and that's probably a budgetary thing. And did take me out of the film. That could have been done if through cuts and edits and more tighter shots. because they did a thing where they did a POV shot of her face, like of her what she's looking at. It's like dimming and shit, which I thought was cool as fuck.
Yeah.
But now I was like, oh, I thought, are they gonna do that for the entire thing? But apparently they did have a plan to make it a little bit more tight and because to hide the budget. But the actor Curtis was like, I can't do this like more than once.
Well, and I mean, like the other thing is like that was a major set piece that they had to use right there in order to do that shot. That was one of the few times when they actually used like a big full-on set piece was inside of the
with
hospital.
extras and everything.
And I mean, you know, every shot that you do with that's a lot of extra money. And you said there are budgetary constraints on this, so. You know, doing a bunch of close-up shots and doing a bunch of shots showing more blood and the stuff like that, that just complicates things a lot. So I do understand why they did it that way. And to me, it didn't really take me out of the moment too much because I don't think that the focus was really on her bleeding out. It was more, the focus was on him carrying her on his back.
But it's,
you know,
it is the detail.
Also, detail. And also the performance. As much as I love Camilla, I think she's great at every other scene. Yeah. But in that one, I was not buying as much that she was dying.
Yeah, it looked like he was just giving her a piggyback ride, and he's like, "Help, help!"
Yeah, and then she was
and she was already passed out by that point.
I know.
You know,
so. But it just like what's it called? But like I said, it's the first time actor, so like what's it called? But yeah. Okay, what's it called? Is there anything else you guys want to talk about for this film?
Funny enough, I just realized I actually worked with the cinematographer before, back when he was at USC.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I worked with him. I was like, his name seems really familiar.
Was the Jack Nicholson's son video?
No. I think I don't remember which one it was actually, but I've worked with him in the past. That's just funny. I just looked him up.
Dude, he's beast.
No, he's fantastic. He's great. I remember the project they're working on him with. He was very good. So
he like because his cinematography only gets better. Like from Miss Purple to Blue Bayou.
Oh yeah. It just gets better and better. Yeah, really cool, talented guy. Great job, man.
Yeah, great job.
Thumbs up. Yeah,
you're probably not listening to this.
No, he didn't give a shit.
Yeah. Any last little things or something like that? Pacing issues? You guys feel anything were there? Any criticisms?
Perfect length.
Yeah.
Really
solid
no problems
length.
with the pacing.
It kept me involved the entire movie, and I, you know, a lot of times I do have issues watching the movie all the way through because there are low points or it feels like it's running a little bit too long. I didn't have that issue with this movie. I felt like it was paced really well, and it continued to develop throughout the entire film. It didn't really ever stagnate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like I was watching this movie pretty late at night. I was a little concerned that I was going to be too tired to to finish it, but it kept me interested, and I think it really just actually woke me up more as it was going on. I was like, yeah, no, this is really drawing me in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm ready for a rating.
Okay, let's start off with you. Let's start off with your rating.
All right. No, I'm not saying that word. I was not chanting that. I was just grunting. I was like, ooh.
Right,
okay.
No, please, don't use this term. It's just like walking around. Yeah, it's called.
Anyway,
it's interesting, like the Gook and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, the way they addressed that, I think was done really well too.
Yeah.
No, I would definitely put this on the shelf. I think it was just a really good movie. It felt like something that's gonna stick with me for a long time. It just the visuals were all on point. The performances, the story itself, really just captured me. And yeah, I'll stick it up, put it on the shelf.
Streaming? No, I'm just kidding. This is actually, of the 3 movies we've watched by him, I think this is my favorite. Even though I think like Blue Bayou was on a technical level is a better movie. Yeah. I still think I like this one more. I connected to it more. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of 90s, 2000s like filmmaking, and this like feels very, very, very reminiscent of that. I thought that the performances were all great. I don't know. I think it's definitely going to stick with me. It's definitely something that I'm going to watch again. So I'd say on the shelf for now, but it could be higher upon further viewings. So yeah, on the shelf. So
I mostly agree with Blake, but I would actually put it in the museum for me. This is one of the few movies that I have put in the museum. I thought it was a very well shot movie. It looked amazing, even though it was in black and white. I tend to not like black and white movies quite as much, but I think that it really worked for this movie that he was doing. The acting was really strong, and it just had a good story overall. I really enjoyed it, and I feel like the narrative that it was telling was a very strong, powerful narrative, and they hit all the right beats in order to make it both, a very powerful film, but then also a film that you really wanted to understand and explain all the motivations of every character, not just the main characters, but all the different characters, even the guy who's helping them at the store. What was his name?
You Mr. Kim?
No, not Mr. Kim.
Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, even Jesus. I was left like, okay, I want to know more about this Jesus guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the characters were really interesting, and I just really enjoyed this film. So I would put it in the museum.
No clapping.
Oh.
I would put it on the shelf. I really liked it. I mean, you guys pretty much said everything I had to say about it. But yeah, I just want to say I really love all the characters. I think that's what makes this movie work. And also, like, movies about racial tensions, oftentimes Crash can be feel a little disingenuous, and I didn't get that from this at all.
Surface level.
Yeah.
But yeah, not at all.
And this felt raw and real. It felt like it was 1992 LA, and they were dealing with all this shit. Really well executed in that regard. So yeah, on the shelf, really enjoyed it. On to you, Philip.
Crash won an Academy Award for Best
Yeah,
Picture.
that movie sucks.
Jesus Christ.
That was mainly because people like the Academy was very homophobic. It was supposed to go to Brokeback, but that's a whole
Should
story.
have.
Why the fuck was Crash even watched more than by one person?
It probably wasn't.
It was watched by a lot of people. I remember
It was
It
huge.
was huge when it came out.
Sucks.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
people
it
were
sucks.
like,
See
"Oh
how
my
baggy
god!"
his pants in? He's probably in a gang.
Yeah.
I never realized how racist people are. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
wow.
I mean, even Jack Nicholson, when he opened the envelope, like, he looked visibly shocked.
Yeah, no, I like what it was saying about racism, that it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, hey, well, that is, you're not wrong. I'll say that.
I do want to note that I have never seen this movie titled Crash. I have seen another movie titled Crash, far better.
Yeah,
far
no
superior.
reason to watch it.
Yeah.
Really.
Honestly, just a laugh.
Yeah.
I know it's like, just to see what it is.
I was like Mad TV's version of it when they're watching all the movies nominated for the Oscar, and they just walk into the movie theater, and all you hear is "You're a racist." No, you're a racist. No, you're a racist, and they just walk out. It's like,
What is it called?
it's like, yeah, it's the whole fucking plot.
That was weird too, because like Ang Lee won Best Director for Brokeback Mountain, so that's usually a big predicator for this, and everyone's like, "Yeah, Brokeback first," and for me, I'm pretty torn. Not gonna lie, because when I first watched it, I probably was like on the shelf and stuff like that. But as time went on, and I saw like the impact it has on the what's called Asian indie scene and the influence it has. But then technical flaws, kind of like with the car, or the blood, and stuff like that, or like bring it back where it's hard for me to put in the museum. But fuck it, it's in the museum. It's the most flawed film in the museum on the technical level. But because of like, even though
clapping.
okay, like if we ever do Clerks, a spoiler, I put that in the museum not because I love that film, but because it was very influential in the indie film market, and that's a big predicator for me.
I think that we have different, like, I don't know. I have a different
predicators,
idea of what goes in the museum, just because I think that like something doesn't have to be perfect to move you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's plenty of like movies that have a shit ton of flaws that put in the museum, and there's plenty of technical perfect movies that would just go on the shelf for me.
Well,
Yeah,
and
same.
I think that this movie also does a really good job at showing Justin Chon's unique style.
Oh,
and
yeah,
who
for
he
sure.
is as a filmmaker. And that's one of the other things that
absolutely.
I really
Yeah.
look at when I'm saying if something should go in the museum or not.
For
You
me,
know, it's I think it's a powerful film.
Yeah, for me in the museum, like I literally like also like because like take the meaning literally, right? Like if this is in the museum, like how does it stand the test of time for all of cinema and like or in specifics contribution, but also with my personal enjoyment. But yeah, I agree. Like it's up there. So yeah, it was highly influential. It was influential for me when I was at UCLA, just watching this and stuff, and going like, ugh, there's Koreans on the screen.
That's how I feel about Kangaroo Jack.
Exactly.
I didn't even like that as a kid. I covered that.
Oh gosh. I was thinking, the next one we'll be talking about is what's the one made not too long afterwards, like 2 years. Like he was on a roll. He was just filming back to back. Was Miss Purple.
Miss Purple.
And the brief synopsis: this is about Casey, who is a young Korean hostess in Koreatown, who reconnects with her estranged brother Carrie during the final days of their father's life, and that's pretty much it. Actually, that's like that's pretty much the entire
movie.
film. All right, so after us talking about Gook and watching his film and his follow-up film, what is everyone's initial opinions about this? Starting with Miles.
For me, it didn't really hold my attention all that well, and unfortunately, this is something that we actually discussed a little bit after I had watched the film. Was where I watched it, and I watched it through Amazon, and
Bastards.
I know there was a lot of dialogue that was in Korean that wasn't subtitled. So I did have an issue of understanding a lot of the dialogue that was going on in the
Why
movie,
didn't you learn
especially
Korean for this?
It's
Yeah,
a
do your
very tough
research,
language
Miles.
to learn.
Piece of
Yeah.
shit.
I know, man.
Yeah,
And I only had my whole entire life to learn it. Why couldn't you have done it in like a week?
I know, right?
It's
Yeah.
Yes. So Amazon translates the first line of the movie and nothing else.
Yeah.
On
I
Hulu, it's
still-
like
all that pops up is like mother or father. Like
So
so
the
annoying.
only line that was translated for me was like "My daughter is beautiful," which I think is like the first line or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
And then I remember thinking like, okay, well I'll turn on English subtitles, and it literally said muttering in Korean. And I was like, gee, thanks.
Yeah.
That's too bad because it's like probably my favorite line from the movie is in Korean.
That being said, I feel like you could still kind of figure out what's going on by context clues and visuals. But still, it would have been nice to, like the fucking palm trees. I'm sure that's important.
Yes, that was my favorite
line.
line.
Sure would have liked to have known what that was about.
No, there was a lot that you would miss if you didn't have the Korean dialogue. There was
Damn it, Jeff Bezos! I'm gonna write him a strongly worded email.
Dude, they charge separately on Vudu too, where for English subtitled and English dub. What's it called? It's like it's ridiculous. You have to. So like I accidentally bought it's like for My Hero Academia on like for Amazon. Like I think it's the Two Heroes one, the one where like they went to America or something shit.
Oh yeah.
So I bought it and I thought I bought the English like sub version, but instead it was the English dub version, and I was like, oh okay, so like I could just switch back. No, you can't. You have to buy. So I paid $40 for one fucking anime film.
Subs over dubs.
Jeez.
And then so they're terrible with just changing dub subs or anything like that. Just because I don't know why. Fuck, it's annoying.
How did you watch it, Ron?
I watched it on Hulu, so I got the full experience.
Yeah, so
good for
watch
you.
it on Hulu if you're gonna watch this
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, definitely.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was on Hulu.
And do watch this
Yeah.
movie. It's pretty good.
Yeah, your opinion might change after watching it again with proper context.
Damn it,
honestly.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Bezos! I'm sending you an email.
I think he did it on purpose.
Yeah, I
You
know.
want to enjoy this?
Alright, so Miles. So what about you, Jason?
Yeah, pretty much echo what Miles said. It wasn't as engaging for me as Gook was. It's a lot. It's a slower movie. It's more moody, I think, than Gook, which is fine. But I just prefer the intensity of Gook a little more. I do think it looks
It's
amazing.
beautiful.
Like
Yeah.
I was getting. Again, Wong Kar-wai vibes. Like this reminded me, like even at certain points, like it has the green tint that was in the version of In the Mood for Love that I
It
watched.
plays around with motion too.
Yeah.
The shutter
so-
scene, low frame rates.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think he emulated that style very well. It worked really well. But again, not my favorite of the three that we watched, but I still respect it and enjoyed it for the most part.
You, Blake?
I will say that it's also my least favorite of the three, but that's not saying I don't like it. It's like I still liked it a lot. I liked like the playing with motion. I thought it's gorgeous. Visually beautiful. I liked a lot of the character stuff. I liked the ending a lot, which I think we'll get into. I thought it had a really good. It might actually have my favorite ending of the three movies.
Oof, I don't know. That's hard.
I like the ending. I thought it was kind of something that like it reminds me of something that like I would write essentially. It was good overall. Not my favorite, but good.
What about you, Ron?
Yeah, pretty much in the same boat. My least favorite of the three, but that's not saying that much, really, because it's they're all very good. Yeah, visuals were strong, performances were fantastic. I think the story itself felt it was pretty impactful. Just like it's very personal. It felt like there was a lot rooted there. Yeah, that's pretty much all I'll say for now.
Oh, I get the initial reaction, especially Jason Miles and Blake. When you guys have a lot of all the Korean dialogue.
I thought this
on
was
subtitle.
I thought it was like an intentional choice by
For a
Justin
second, I thought
Chon,
that too.
and then I was thinking like, man, fuck you, dude. Like you're alienating your audience. But no, I'm not mad at you, Justin.
It's Jeff Bezos.
He forgives you.
Fuck Amazon.
Come on, Jeffrey.
What's it called? Do you guys feel, let's say, maybe on rewatch, probably on like more ideal circumstances and with subtitles, possibly your opinion would improve or change?
Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah,
Yeah.
possible.
It's definitely something I want to revisit at some point because I did enjoy it. But again, it did feel lacking in energy and
Yeah, it's definitely like more the happy. If this is like a film in like Wong Kar-wai's filmography, it'd be like more closer to Happy Together and In the Mood for Love than
Yeah,
Chungking
definitely.
Express.
From now on, we're going to compare every
Everything
filmmaker.
going
to
on.
Wong Kar-wai.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he even
Gook was his Chungking Express.
yeah. To be fair, it's what's it called? He from Miss Purple to Blue Bayou, he mentions Wong Kar-wai as like, especially
Yeah, I
in
mean-
Blue Bayou, the one scene that we'll talk about
Yeah.
that's like very deliberately Chungking Express.
Yeah. I definitely think that my opinion could change because one of the things that really did bring me out of the film was the fact that there were long periods where there was dialogue and not much going on, and the dialogue was all in Korean.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there kind of just waiting for it to end because I didn't understand what they were saying. I could pick up on some of the inflections, but that was about it.
Yeah. And it's a testament to his filmmaking that he's still able to communicate it with.
Yeah, I feel like I got a good portion
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
Like there's the scene where he takes where the dad takes the kids to see the mom. And like I pretty much understood what was going on there, even though I didn't have any of
Yeah.
the dialogue.
Yeah.
But still, it would have been nice to know what the fuck they were saying.
Yeah, definitely. Especially a lot of the flashback sequences were
Yeah,
in
in
Korean.
Korean.
And they were my favorite parts of the movie, the flashback sequences.
Yeah.
It playing with that type of narrative, going back and forth, and then that was really great for me. It's like actually instead of in the movie, it's probably close to like 2046 almost. Like they're going back between different storylines, and the flashback storyline is its own like separate thing where it's kind of going chronological in a weird way. All right, for me, it's my favorite of the three. Yeah,
Really?
Yeah, it's my favorite of the three because it was I actually really didn't like this film when I first watched it. I was bored out of my fucking mind in theaters. I was like, oh gosh, it's pretty boring. Shit back. And then like I watched it again during the pandemic. I don't know what was it. It was like my own personal thing going on. And then I watched under a new different lens. And then I was like looking at the shots. I was looking at the context. I was looking at what's it called? Different ways he was doing something so micro. It's like this weird microcosm of Korean American culture and the way he represented Koreatown. But he was speaking universal truths about family, and how it was done so expertly well, more subtly than all the other three. It's the least amount of dialogue for any of his three films.
Definitely
Yeah.
feels like the most subtle out of
Yeah,
the three of them.
and
We'll get to Blue Bayou.
yeah. Oh, yes. And then the third time I watched it was watching might have been four, and I watched it twice for this, so fourth time. Because I watched it twice for this podcast episode. It's the one that grows the most because I think it has the most to give on rewatch. Like Gook, pretty straightforward. Like I still rewatched it and like the film, but upon rewatch, not as much to give, like extra, right? But this one, every time I do watch it, there's new different aspects to like the characters I discover, new aspects to the shots and what they could mean, or even the ending, like had different meanings to me on every watch.
That makes sense
That's
to me. I feel like you
interesting, yeah.
benefit a lot from rewatches.
Yeah, and as a result, I definitely think in years going down, this would probably be one of his like more highly regarded films, probably like on like what's it called, on like lists, on rewatches, on stuff like that. And it's also I think his Blue Bayou is his most technically proficient film.
Yeah.
But this one is
Yeah, I'd say
but this one is his most
I think it's its prettiest film.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's his prettiest film,
prettier
and
than
it's cleaner.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if this was just the vibe I was getting, but it also felt like it was his most fun film. There was a lot of
I wouldn't
Really?
say that.
No,
I wouldn't say that.
I think Gook is his most fun film.
no,
Yeah.
but it's just like, especially with the brother and stuff, and the interactions between the brother and the dad. There's a lot of stuff in there that.
Well, I mean,
really
that was
seems like-
fun, yeah. But I'm saying, like,
The majority of the movie is miserable.
it's not that
Yeah.
miserable. I've seen worse.
Well, we've
Yeah.
all seen worse,
We've all
but
seen worse.
it's pretty fucking sad, dude.
You guys
Yeah.
see your tolerance. You know what I mean? I'm just kidding. I love the misery porn. Just give it to me. You know what
I
I
don't
mean?
like. I'm not.
Well,
a,
I
just
got
kidding,
news
it's not
for you
misery
with Blue
porn.
Bayou.
Yeah.
What's it called? But I think it fit the narrative considering what was happening. I rarely see an opportunity where it makes sense for these lives because, I mean, I do like the fact that they like some of the places they went in Koreatown. I was like, oh, I ate there before. I like went to that place, with the little club. That it's especially from like it looks like I had to do a research paper on this back in college about like the Korean hostess and like the more seedier parts of Koreatown and stuff like that, and it got that part really down really well. Honestly, it's Koreatown. Besides the food and the bar and stuff, like, it's a pretty fucking miserable place to live in, and they definitely got that part. And I do really think a lot of people there, it's probably even worse than the movie depicts. You know what I mean? Like at least she got money. You know what I mean, to pay for her,
Yeah,
her dad's
dad.
care. Most of them are like out in the street. You see like Korean hobos all the time. You know what I mean?
I used to live in Koreatown.
Oh, where? Which one?
St. Andrews.
Oh, okay.
That's right. That was my childhood house.
Nice. So, what was your experience?
Well, we left when I was 6, so I honestly mostly remember I was too young to really give a shit about like cityscape, which I do now. I don't know if you guys probably know this about me. I love like cities and taking pictures of cities. I find them just fun to be in. I mostly remember like the outside, like just the streets. And there's like a liquor store we used to go to get shit. And there's like an arcade machine that I used to play in there. And the restaurants, although we went to the American restaurants.
Wait, you went to American restaurants in Koreatown?
I was like 3.
Your parents.
I did go back in 4 or 5 years ago, and it wasn't Korean, but I did go to a pho place there because my friend was assuring me it's.
You went to a pho place in
My
Koreatown?
friend-
You went to a pho
My
place
Korean friend
in
actually
Koreatown.
said.
Your Korean friend
I
took you
s-
to a pho place in
I
Koreatown?
swear to God, I went to
Swear, bring him on this podcast. He's up for a public execution. Mary
I
Queen of
swear to God,
Scots, bitch.
Jesus.
I
Oh
went,
my God.
I went to their house, and I was like, "Oh, I'm hungry. I used to live around here, but it's been a long time. Where should we eat?" And she said, "Oh, there's a really good pho place." I was like, "Works for me."
Honestly, it's like if I took Ron to Koreatown, but instead of Obi Bear, we went to McDonald's. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't say it's that bad.
It's pretty fucking bad. Are
It was
you
pretty
fucking
good
kidding
fun,
me?
for the record.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so I used to live in Koreatown, believe it or not.
What's the person's
Yeah, what's
name?
your favorite pho
You know what I
place
mean?
in Koreatown? Let us know in the
let's-
comments.
Yeah, if you're the person who's listening to this, put your name down in the comments and your address.
How
You know what I mean?
offended are you by Blake? Let us know.
Yeah.
What did I fucking do?
My gosh.
It's not Blake's fault.
Nah,
Yeah, it is. You
that's
could
the
have just
joke.
like you could have went afterwards. Fucking fun in
Yeah.
Koreatown.
Blake could
What
have been
the
like,
fuck?
I want to experience true, authentic Korean
You know what I
culture.
wanted in that moment?
Yeah.
You know what I wanted? I wanted to eat food. I was hungry. They could have said anything. I would have been like, yeah, okay.
I give props to Miles that even Korean barbecue, even though I could tell, dude, this, like he just could not eat any of the Korean shit, but he tried. He tried.
Yeah.
I give props to Miles.
I love going to Korean barbecue, but I'm very much just a carnivore when I go there. I don't care about the sides or anything.
I like
just want
Asa
to eat all that
ramen in
meat.
Torrance.
Yeah.
What?
I like Asa ramen in Torrance.
That's not
Cool,
never
man.
mind, just-
Is that Korean?
No,
Is
that's
that...
not fucking Korean. No.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
He's trying. He's trying.
No, he doesn't.
I'm ignorant. I'm sorry.
It's okay. The last time when we first talked about like what type of Korean films, we were like, they're all the same to me, all these.
I did not say
Yes, you did. I'm just kidding. Put you on blast a little bit. I wouldn't have, but then
Yeah,
you
asked him
you ate
about-
pho in Koreatown. That triggered me.
You asked him about Korean films. He's like, yeah, I love Jackie Chan.
Oh, what's it called? Oh god. Okay, now that we're back to I gotta talk about something else, or I'm gonna kill.
Okay,
kill
let's get
everybody.
back to talking about Miss Purple.
What I guess what's it called? Yeah. So So I think once again, one thing Justin Chon does really well is making his environment like a character. Whether it was in Gook, it was LA, the Paramount is like kind of a bland city, but they made it into a fucking character into that film.
Yeah.
And then in this one, Koreatown, well, okay, no, Koreatown a lot easier, but they also brought that into town. It was embedded into their lives and like how it affects what they do, what they eat, where they go to, and afterwards. And then what's it called? And also like he doesn't, obviously because he's Korean, so he doesn't like shy away from the more cultural aspects. Like at one point she wears a fucking hanbok, which is like a Korean traditional dress and stuff like that. Like I wore that as a kid and shit. I might have to wear that if I get married and stuff. And it's like the weird dots and shit.
Do you have to? Or
Yeah, it's kind of a tradition. Well, if I do it in Korea, but if my what's it called? My Korean relatives, if they come, they're like gonna chastise me or like exile me from the like fucking family if I don't have hanbok at one point.
Well, do you want to? That's the real question.
Yeah, I don't think it matters in Koreans. Your wants and desires don't matter.
But does it matter
matters.
to you?
Yeah.
It's okay, Philip. I think you would look very pretty in a dress.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
With little red dots on my face and stuff like that. Yeah, it's
Hey, you look real cute.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you guys. You know what I mean? I'll try. I'll come next time for our audio only listeners.
Pixar didn't happen.
Yeah. What's it called? And yeah, and then I did like that, and it was interesting too because I think Tiffany Chu, she's not Korean at all, but she convinced. She was convincing. You know what I mean?
She's not Korean.
No, she's not Korean. Yeah. Teddy Lee's Korean. Teddy Lee and James King are Korean.
Yeah,
But she's
Teddy
not.
Lee, I think is the best performance in the film.
Oh, he did a fantastic job.
And I looked him up. I was like, I want to see more stuff. He hasn't really done anything. So
Yeah. Same thing for Tiffany Chu.
yeah,
Yeah, they're all no-name actors and stuff. Well, to be fair, this film came out recently, so
yeah.
to build hype and stuff. And this film, I mean, it made a profit because a lot of the money was Kickstarter, but
Yeah,
it
I
wasn't
couldn't
a
find
blockbuster.
much information on this movie.
Same. I was
Online.
like trying to get into technical specs and stuff like that.
Mm.
The only way I think I have to buy the Blu-ray, which I will, or the Blu-ray to like hear Justin Chon talk about the film and what he did to it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very underrated. I like this a lot. I hope he continues to do more films like this than Blue Bayou, even though I really did like Blue Bayou. But in terms of like subtlety and stuff like that, well, it might turn off people on the first viewings and stuff like that. But I think
It wasn't the subtlety that
no, not the subtlety, but
turned
like,
me
but
off.
also the pacing and
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I like having fun while watching movies. That's just my personal preference.
Oh,
I
like
like
being
the
miserable.
energy. I like I just like having fun. But like again, like I didn't dislike this movie at all. It's really really good, and it's an impactful story that can resonate with anyone, regardless of if you're Korean or not. I think that's something that he does really well with his
yeah.
films.
It's like a small microscopic view on culture, but it has universal truths, which is fantastic.
Well,
Yeah.
I will say, he's very big on the Korean American thing, and it felt like a lot of his films lean more towards the second and third generation people who are
his
Korean Americans,
who he is,
yeah, instead of this one really leaned towards first generation Korean Americans, it felt like, and people who were still connected to the Korean culture and still living in the Koreatown areas or Koreatown and stuff like that. Whereas his other two films, one was in Louisiana, the other one was in Paradise or Paramount, California.
Far Cry from Paradise.
Sorry. So those people are more ingrained with American culture as well as their roots in Korean culture, and this felt more so just purely Korean culture, I guess, or Korean American culture, instead of having that mixed blending melting pot going on.
Right, so it's very more focus on.
Yeah.
I agree. This is definitely way more focused. Like almost every character here is Korean, except like a couple. You have like
Octavio.
Yeah, Octavio.
Who's my least favorite character in the movie.
Yeah,
he bothered me.
He's super boring. Oh, remember when like he got like it got too serious, so he like did a turn.
Yeah, fucking.
Yeah, that was like but I do know weird people like that, and dude, LA people are weird. Yeah, they're weird as fuck. I'm talking about like.
Yeah, but also like when he was hitting on her in front of her brother, it just felt unnatural and weird. And
I think he's just an awkward guy.
Not gonna lie, something like that happened to me with my sister's friends. So for me, it's not like.
I think he's just a
No. I just didn't think he sold that very well.
Oh no, I don't think he's a good actor either.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking, a better actor could have made this better. This specific scene, but anyway, it doesn't really.
You know, I think that a little bit of that for me did come down to he was just supposed to play this awkward guy, and he did a good job at playing the awkward guy. Maybe too good of a job because it really felt very disgusting.
Yeah. I was glad that he wasn't a big part of the film.
Yeah, but there were other moments, like when she went to his cookout or whatever, his family party.
Yeah,
where I thought like he was good in that.
Yeah, he didn't speak much. Yeah.
Thankfully,
yeah.
I think.
How's it called? And but like Tiffany Chu, my gosh, the powerhouse performance.
She was so good.
Yeah, she was fucking fantastic. I think if anything, might be my favorite performance out of all his films. Even the Blue Bayou, I think we'll talk about it in a bit, and he did pretty good. But I think for her, because like the subtlety and she had a lot less dialogue to work with.
Yeah,
and then just the way she's able to pull off like just micro expressions to just communicate certain emotions of a scene, and guys, it's fantastic. And even like the comedic elements when she's with Carrie and stuff.
When she was being playful, that was fun. Like when she goes and just kicks him in the kitchen, that was really funny.
And I do like that, like, any, like, at least there's some levels of levity, because some other filmmakers would just, suck on the misery titty too much, just like get the milk out and stuff. But he does like sprinkle in, like, with like Carrie like had fun with fucking the dad. Yeah, like going to hotels, PC bongs and stuff like that.
I love when he brings them into like the internet cafe or PC cafe, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. And like he's already had tension with that guy, and he brings them in. And the guy's like, I mean, I don't speak Korean, but he's probably just been like, "What the fuck are you doing?" That's like one of my favorite sequences of the movie.
But basically, it's because he was talking about like you haven't paid for a couple of visits and stuff like that. You have no money, etc. But then at the end, like, no, even that character, kind of like Mr. Kim, like he kind of turns around.
He has a really sweet moment at the end where I don't understand what he's saying, but I can tell he's comforting him.
He's basically saying like there's a lot of shitty things that happens in life, but basically like just come in, it's on the house. I mean, I could tell that's what he was saying essentially, but yeah, I really like that sweet moment where he gives him the drink, what's that shit called? Those little yogurt drinks, right? Oh, Yonkle and stuff, yeah.
And then he brings them inside. I don't know. It was a real sweet moment.
And that's something, like, we talked about it when we discussed Gook, but that's something that all his characters have. It's like, nothing's black and white. Everyone has...
Except for one character in Blue Bayou.
Yeah. And one character in this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean...
No, fuck that guy.
I mean, he's an asshole, but I do think there is some, at least in the beginning, I mean, if he gets worse... But there's some level of...
I don't think he cared about her at all.
Yeah.
The entire movie.
I think he did, like, in a weird psychopathic way, or, like, possessive way. But then, yeah. But it's... Okay, let's talk about Casey and Johnny, which I think is so Casey is a hostess in Koreatown, which is already kind of seedy as it is. But also she's, like, a doomy girl and stuff. Which is, like, basically... a weird, more professional version of prostitute.
It's like an escort.
Yeah. But it's like for Koreans only.
He's also kind of like paying her to like be around too. It's like it's almost like he's paying to have a girlfriend.
Yeah, pretty much. He even asked her to move in.
Yeah.
And see, I think with that part, like it does show that like I think he did in his own weird way consider a relationship. But I think probably the way he was raised up with like a lot of spoiled Korean Americans, like with a lot of like money behind their family stuff, think they could just buy it and stuff like that. So I do think in a weird way that was his showing his love or something.
Yeah, and then she says, it's not a good time, my dad's dying. So he's like, what the fuck's wrong with you? And it's just like, what's wrong with you, buddy?
Yeah.
I'm so glad he gets his ass kicked at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
it's very satisfying.
I thought, I watched this one third, I should say. This is my last movie I watched by him.
Oh.
Given the context of how his movies go, I honestly thought she was going to die in that moment.
Also, did he
Yeah.
have like just giant tumors on his cheeks?
No, that's just how it looks.
Okay.
That's how he looks.
Jesus, Miles.
I'm sorry. His jaw
That's
just
what Miles
looks like
is
it's
saying.
fucking
Koreans
like...
look like tumor man. I'm just kidding,
Hey,
Miles.
hey.
I'm just kidding, Miles. I know it's not. I know
Not
it's not.
Koreans, him
Yeah.
specifically.
That's okay. No, don't
Yeah.
worry, Miles. You're not at the bottom of shit luck. You're not at the bottom as somebody who eats pho in Koreatown.
It's not my fault.
Yes, it is. You have a free will.
That was good fun, by the way. That was really
Ah,
good.
there's better fun other places. I know. Yeah. All right. So,
Myanmar has good fun.
yeah, it does.
Saigon.
All right, whatever.
Okay. So, what's it called? Yeah. So it's like that the whole relationship and parasitic nature of it, and then it was honestly more interesting than watching Octavio or something like that. Cause oh god, fuck that guy. But it's it's. I liked it a lot because it did add a lot of it just added to what's it called, the conflict that she has from this and the different nature, and she gave up her dream of being a piano artist to help fund her father's healthcare.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest struggles that she has is whether or not to put it in a hospice, right? And then Leia was trying to watch this movie with me, but then she, because as a nurse and stuff like that, and dealing with hospice, and for her it was like a little too close to home and stuff like that. And also apparently she was like, there are some she said there are some patients, what's it called, that do kind of like try to just haggle down nurses and stuff. So she just like stopped watching. But it's I do like the fact, and it's and that is an interesting conflict, like the whole point of like, because it's very embedded in Korean culture that you can't put them in nursing homes. Yeah,
That was actually something I wanted to ask you about.
Yeah.
Was that like a very cultural thing that
Yeah.
she felt like it was her duty to take
Yeah.
care of him?
like they're
because
supposed to be
he's
like
her-
living in the house, and you're supposed to get a nurse.
Mhm.
And then like my grandma right now in Korea, she's same thing with her. Like she refused to be in hospice right now, so like whatever money they have left, they're hiring a nurse to watch her 24 hours and stuff. And that's a big thing.
Yeah, and I mean, hospices are basically jails for seniors, so it's understandable.
yeah, they absolutely hate it. They consider it. There are nursing homes in Korea, but it's not as prolific as it is in America, where it's just like around every corner.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I mean, and nursing homes, they're not all of them. I know that there are some nursing homes that are good places, but
Those are expensive as fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
you
really
get-
seems like they're places where you just kind of throw your elderly people, and then you can go visit them once or twice a week, maybe if you want.
A
But
week.
you just throw them there and forget them.
Yeah, I only get it if it's like kind of like what's it called, Casey's dad situation, because he really just can't enjoy life,
Yeah.
and then he can't move. But if you're
Yeah.
still walking and talking and stuff, there's fuck no. If it was me, fuck no, not nursing home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always said, if I ever looked like I'm at the point where I can't take care of myself, send me out into the woods, give me a knife, and if I come back, you were wrong. If I don't, then a bear got me and it's all good.
Noted.
Yeah.
You went out fighting. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You better find the talking monkey named Caesar. Please come back. You know what I mean? I would love that. Yeah. So it is a big cultural thing. It's a big thing. I remember when I watched it with my mom, back in like 2019. She was like, you better just like break my fucking neck before you put me in the hospice. Yeah. She was like, no. She was like, no, for her. So yeah, I understand that cultural part of it. But then you see it where it's like Casey, ironically, played by a non-Korean. Her character is way more tied to her Korean roots and values. Where it's like staying with the elderly until like basically when it's impossible.
Yeah, as opposed to Carrie, right?
Yeah, the
Carrie, who was kind of left the family, you could tell he was a bit more Americanized.
Yeah.
Because he left at 15, and he was just like near the end. He's just like, dude, just put him in hospice. Like,
Yeah, because the dad was like straight about to like punch him. and
Yeah.
stuff, but-
Yeah.
Isn't it also
Which was
kind
sad.
of culturally more so the daughter's responsibility to take care of the elderly parents in Korean culture?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, but it could either go each way. Like at least the son is supposed to provide financially and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and the daughter is supposed to like, take them, at least the mother and stuff like that. So yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's so that part like it played pretty much to a T, but also like, and also highlights the difference between Carrie and Casey, and how they value and how strong they're tied to their roots, which is also ironic because Carrie speaks more Korean than Casey. Casey can't, the actress can't speak Korean, but which I think all worked because she didn't really need to speak Korean in any of her scenes. She barely talks.
Yeah.
Only in certain scenes. And her fucking job is miserable as fuck. You know what I mean? She's putting soju and stuff like that, makgeolli, into these asshole Korean businessmen.
Being mocked and laughed at.
Yeah.
I really felt for her.
It's
sad.
It's way worse in Korea though. Like in Seoul and stuff. Like in here, it's like they're bound by American laws.
Partially.
Yeah, partially.
Yeah.
But then in Korea, I mean, not all parts of Korea. It's like I said. But then but then again, it's not as seedy, so it's its own thing. But they do get a lot more drunk, and they do get a lot more like touchy and shit. At least from like either what I've seen or like I have family members that do something like this, like uncles and stuff. And they're just like, they're bragging about it. Like, yeah, I grabbed that woman's ass. And
like,
I'm like,
it felt a bit cartoony at the moment, like with the wedding, when they're like, oh, you brought one to a wedding?
Yeah.
Look at her. She's just standing there like a fucking idiot. Oh, look, she's walking away. I was like, this feels a little over the top, but I mean, I guess I could also see that being a real thing.
How realistic is it?
It was
that does happen.
It was just showing.
Yeah, Domi girls, like, they get passed around like change. Yeah, so that's like that.
Everyone's like, I got next, and it's like, dude, fuck you.
Yeah, and he did that like right after, just like a spoiled child. Like, after he got like rejected from the offer of being with it. Like once again that Korean masculine mentality of like completely owning a female and housewife and stuff like that. And that plays into the cultural thing where like he inherited all the bad parts of Korean like old past Korean cultural tradition, but none of the the other parts like the food or culture or respect for elders or respect for women. I'm straight up fucking at the end, like they slap and beat the fuck out of the two, like Kathy and Cassie, our hostesses. By the way, that's like let's get into like favorite shots real quick. I think that's like one of my favorite like sequences, like the low frame rate and stuff like that, where it's a very chunky express where they lower the frame rate, they increase the shutter speed, and they just like it's like it gets real blurry, and it's like in the weird way, in this chaos there's beauty, but also like it represents both very clearly. What are some of your favorite shots in the film? Because I do think this visually is stronger than Gook. Yeah,
it's prettier for sure. That might be it. I also, even though I don't know the dialogue for the palm trees, I did like all the shots of the palm trees.
Yeah.
My favorite shot was actually kind of early in the film when Carrie was wheeling his father around the city on his bed.
Yeah,
and then he gets like the ice cream and he's just eating like the ice cream and some just drops on his father's face. And I'm like, oh god, this, to me that seemed like it was a very father-son bonding moment, even though they weren't able to bond.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was getting that time with his dad that he never had.
Or even like the hotel scene, like some of those shots, there's a weird cat angle to fit the entire bed or something.
Yeah, I like how the bed's just like falling apart at times. And he has to put it back together.
And even like her running in the end credit scenes.
Yeah,
that was like that was all pretty and stuff like that. This is a very pretty film. Like its color palettes like ranges from violet to blue, to green. Yeah. And then a lot of like warm, vibrant colors. But like it's not overbearing. It's not like neon, like a Nicholas Winding Refn, which works for his films.
Well, it was vibrant, like you said. This definitely was the most vibrant of his films. Where it seemed very bright. And I think that might also be where I was getting the fun
energy and stuff.
Energy from, was that,
Let's go. What about you guys? What do you guys think?
I really like the scenes like pretty early in the movie where she's like near the LA River and stuff, and it's very dim lighting, but you see kind of like you get that little bloom and lens flare a bit, like from the lights in the background. I think that was like I really like that, and pretty much any of the scenes like were there in the club area or like that one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Squirrel.
And what do you think about the aspect ratio? Because I think even more than Gook, it's even wider, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's even and in a weird ironic because it feels more like in a weird way more claustrophobic and more
Yeah, well, a lot of
but
it
then it's
takes place
tighter.
in
yeah.
very confined spaces.
But he chose to shoot on the widest format possible. Usually, reserved for like epics or like Lawrence of Arabia and stuff like that. Like, what do you guys think of that choice? Well, what type of effect did it create? Like on a very microscopic cultural topic, but with like a format that's like reserved for epics. And
it makes it feel important. It makes the story feel impactful to the characters. Like it's just these very wide shots in this small like little moment just makes it feel important to the people who are going through this right now.
Yeah.
Say like tighter, a little more personal. Like you kind of get that, like you said, the confined spaces, but with that wide format, it's really kind of seems to compress a lot of the world like on these characters.
It looked like because they were just like usually in like close-ups instead of taking most of the frame, they're like in the middle of the frame.
Yeah.
But then it looks like the world is trapping them. Like literally.
Yeah.
Like from left and right, they can't escape there.
Yeah, especially with like the club scenes and stuff where you kind of just like the parts when like she's taking the substances and stuff, and it's like, it's just it all kind of really adds to the atmosphere.
Yeah. Once again, is it on Chang or is it how do you say his name? The cinematographer.
I don't know.
What's it called?
I'm not gonna butcher it by attempting it.
Dude, definitely kudos to you. Hopefully, what's it called? Besides just Justin Chon films, unless you're super busy with his films already, because he's just working all the fucking time.
Yeah.
That I would love to see you.
This kid's got a future.
Yeah, if somehow you get the Marvel film and that you convince them, you know what I mean? Convince them to add some color or true black values to their films. Like, just like be them. Like, that's what Roger Deakins would never work with, the Marvel films. And also the editing. Reynolds Barney, who's been there since the beginning. What's it called? Yeah, AFI film graduate. He's, what's it called? It's fucking dope. And the music again, like the strings, the operatic
Ripped off In the Mood for Love.
I think they were very inspired. Yeah,
it was I played them side by side, dude. It is almost the exact. I thought it was the same song, just like a different recording. Like it sounded so much like it, but it worked in that moment. It's fine.
I'm never angry about that. Like
I'm not angry about it. No, it worked. But
inspiration.
Yeah, I think it was like one track though, right? And but did they use that over and over again? I think.
No, they just used it
once, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was just once.
Yeah, I'll let that slide. If it's just one, but I think if it is, they use it. But then again, Tarantino does that. But he never says original film score. There's like only one original film score, right? That's Ennio Morricone for Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
Oh, what was it? Okay.
He said he was never going to work with him again, but then he did.
Yeah.
Did he? Which one?
Because he did Django Unchained, and then like he was upset with the intermixing with pop music because I guess he's never seen a Tarantino movie.
No, he didn't make original music for any. He didn't make original music for Django.
No, yeah, I think he took some of his music.
Used, yeah.
Well, because from what I understand, part of Hateful Eight is also old,
like from The Thing.
Is it from The Thing?
Yeah. From The Thing.
Unused tracks. So.
Yeah,
but I do know that Ennio Morricone was not happy with Django Unchained necessarily.
Yeah,
and he said he was never going to work with him, but then he did for Hateful Eight, and thank God he did. The
Hateful
Eight
just like
track is great.
He just
fantastic.
Was like convincing him. Was like, you better fucking do it for my film. You know, or I'm gonna fucking Tarantino your ass. I don't know what that is. Maybe opening up his chest and putting it inside Tarantino's body. That sounds kind of sexy.
I'd say something to do with feet, really.
Yeah. What's it called? What's it called? What about for the film score? This one also uses less licensed music, right? Than of the three.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. What's it called?
I'd say it's personally the weakest one, but
For the
still
first one?
good. Yeah, of these three. I like, I don't know, probably Blue Bayou's soundtrack the most. But
that one's really good, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Dude, this guy's great too, Roger Swin.
Yeah, good job.
Swin. Basically same like if you look at our cheat sheets, like it's the same fucking people every film.
Yeah, which is good. I think that's like key to most good filmmakers is they really stick to their team. They know what they like. They do it over and over.
Cinematographer. Yeah, that's called. Yeah, good for him. Like I do what's called in a weird way. I don't think we'll ever get another Miss Purple like film from him. And there's like this like what's it called, redacted in dialogue, this much Korean dialogue, mainly because as you know, filmmakers more and more budgets and stuff like that, and the higher he goes, I don't think they're gonna give him budget for this film. And also, this film was like he only got it made because of Kickstarter. Yeah.
And that kind of impresses me too. You know, you hear all these horror stories about Kickstarter and stuff like that. And like you said, you know, this movie got made with Kickstarter, and then also Gook got made with Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And I think that that's very impressive.
Yeah.
And that's great.
He hustled his ass.
Yeah.
I remember too. Like I think I got a refund though. I actually like was like put my money but never went through. I never got my digital code. It's like
Oh, that
refund.
sucks.
So I was like, but I'm not official backer. Fucking pieces of shit. I'm just kidding. Justin.
It feels like the kind of projects that deserve and need Kickstarters, because sometimes bigger stars will do it, and it's like, you could also probably put in a little more of your money, man.
Yeah.
But no, this seemed like it's like one of those passion projects behind backing like a
Because I don't see
good young upcoming filmmaker for a film that's probably not going to get funding from anywhere else.
No, I don't think anyone.
This is the kind of shit it's built for.
I'm not gonna lie, even though I love this film and I think it's great, like if I was also an executive, I'll be like, wow, I would love to see this movie. I don't know if I would put money into it. You know what I mean? Well, unless if I was like super rich. And
how'd it do,
my own
like money wise?
It made back its Kickstarter budget.
Yeah.
And then
Right
which was about
like
73,000.
$73,634,
and through ancillary and
which
selling
is
SVOD.
nothing for this kind, you know, for movies.
So it probably like I don't know, who knows. I think some people lost money, but overall probably broke even. Yeah, which I think was fine for him because he got the big paycheck for Blue Bayou.
Yeah.
Well, I guess for me, I guess not as much. I kind of pretty much touched on all the suspects. Oh, but I'm last thing at the mom scene. That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, that was really sad.
Yeah, the relationship between Carrie and his mom, and also like when she went to the parking lot and said like, "Mom, like, Oma, you know, Kyugan now is like, do you not miss me, or do you not see me? Do you not recognize me?" And she was like, "Oh, it's some stranger," and just with the same husband and stuff like that. And then they cut to a flashback later on. And that just broke my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was, I just can't imagine like a parent just doing that.
And she adopts that kind of like that mentality of a certain type of, not all people are like that, but a certain type of in Korea where it's like, you know, if the males don't provide, they're not a valuable partner, and so she immediately went to a better prospect. In a weird, ironically, she succeeded in the American Dream.
Yeah.
But in the most
as a person,
heartless way possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like the weird toxic nature of the American Dream, which is all prevalent in all his film, where there's Gook and what's it called, the generational trauma that comes from the American Dream. And this one, it's like what's it called, the sacrifice that comes from attaining the American Dream.
Yeah. It's like I feel like Gook kind of throws away the traditional filmmakers move, which would have been like, and it turns out the business started booming right after that.
Yeah.
Then they started really selling it, and it's like, no, they just burn it down.
And just have a
Which
fresh
was
start.
the perfect way to end that movie.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we should probably touch on that more, but I like that all three of these don't go
They don't
for
have Hollywood endings.
Yeah, don't have that Hollywood ending at all.
I guess just to redeem ourselves from the Gook thing, because now we're going to talk about endings. The final shot for this film. Oh, let's talk about the palm trees and the final shot.
Yeah.
So the palm trees. Okay, well, I mean, like.
what was he saying?
So he was mostly saying like, because I'm so sorry because I was watching because when it was in Korean, like, I didn't even notice there were no subtitles.
Yeah.
And then I should have mentioned the Hulu too. What's it called? But like, you know, from my understanding of Korean, it was basically like, you know, these palm trees were like basically not from here, and then like they were just planted here and they grew up here and became part of Koreatown, and that basically they're like the palm trees.
Yeah. They're not native to California. They were transplanted here, which I really like, and it's
Probably
something
one of the most powerful. I think
Similar to
all his films actually.
Similar to the end of Minari.
Yes.
Yeah.
Minari is like, that's his own beast. We'll talk about Lee Isaac Chung. He has a very interesting filmography.
We talked about Minari.
Yeah.
On an
The
unreleased
released episode.
We'll
I
talk
feel like
about
they
it
have
again, though, hopefully.
I feel like anyone listening thinks we have like 80 unreleased
We have, like,
episodes.
yeah.
We literally have
Lee
two.
Isaac Chung, when you make another film, we'll cover all your weird films.
Yep.
Minari is his most mainstream film, actually. Yeah. So and then near the end they kind of reconcile, but she puts him in the hospice. finally, and then the nurse has a line that it's not giving up. It's just like actually just giving them a chance or somewhere nice to be in their final moments.
Yeah.
And she sleeps with Carrie.
What? Not.
Oh
Not
no,
sexually.
no, not sexually. No,
Yeah.
They fall asleep
Yeah,
together
they
on
fall
the
asleep
couch.
together on the couch. She falls.
Stop it, Step Carrie.
So they fall asleep together on the couch, and then you have
I'm stuck.
you have the younger version.
Jesus.
You have the younger version of.
I can't get out of the couch.
Oh wait, no. Let's get back.
Their father's watching over them.
This is like the best part of the movie, and we're ruining it.
It's just like putting in like his like ectoplasm coming over. It was like yeah. What's it called? The Old Boy Part 2.
Father makes ghost cummies.
Yeah. Okay, but basically, it's okay. Let's.
Ectoplasm.
So they fall asleep on the couch together.
Yeah, and then let's get the dad. What's it called? The dad is looking over them, and in this, I think it's very implied that the father passed away.
Yes.
And his spirit is watching
Yeah.
over. And I think that was a very powerful
That was my
ending.
Actually, I take it back. That's my favorite shot of the movie. Is just the last shot. I like the father just being there and smiling. He just sees that his. I don't know. My interpretation is that the father died, but he sees that his kids have come together and are a family together, and he's happy.
Yeah. And then she just wakes up, and then there's just like something happened, and then it ends. And I think what's it called? Even though I really like the Gook ending, her dancing in front of the burning thing. For me personally, the father looking over the kids after they reconcile was, and maybe because also the way it's shot too, where it was like very blue tones over his face and stuff like that, gave a warm feeling. The music just kind of swelling. It impacted me like really hard. A little bit more than the Gook ending, even though the Gook ending with Camilla dancing over the flames and stuff like that was its own. It had its own visceral impact to it too, right? That even amongst like chaos, there's beauty and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But this one is just more of a solemn, heartfelt like farewell. Yeah, different types.
This is the happiest ending he's done for sure.
Mhm.
Of these three films.
Yeah, of these three films. It's definitely like a sweet ending. It's not just miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bittersweet.
Because even Cassie, like, she's no longer with Johnny. She's goes to Octavio, and they kind of like have a thing now, I guess, or they at least maybe not a thing.
At the very least, they're friends.
Yeah, they're friends.
She could do better than Octavio.
Yeah, much better.
What's wrong with Octavio?
Oh, my God.
He's kind of lame.
You mean spinning around when this gets too serious?
He's like,
That's
oh,
a
we're
valet.
talking about something important here. Da da da. Let me just try to change the subject.
Way to discredit this person opening up to you.
Yeah.
Like,
Let's change the subject.
I'm gonna do ballet while you tell me about your dying father.
Yeah. Oh, James, and brief shout out to also James King, who plays the father. Fantastic job.
Yeah,
He's great.
Yeah, it was great. Like in a weird way, like the subtle heart of the film.
Yeah.
he's always just there.
Yeah.
In the
He's always
background
just
on the
there.
bed.
Do you guys hate Carrie when he left? I mean, I understood why when he
No.
was like
No.
breakout. It's like
It's
what's
very
it called?
human.
Yeah. And then it was heartbreaking too when like Casey was trying to stop Carrie from leaving.
Yeah, it was
And
sad.
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah, it's probably one of the more. Oh, I don't know. Never mind. Blue Bayou has some devastating moments.
You're
they're all-
telling me.
They've all. Oof.
It's a happy-go-lucky movie. What are you talking about?
Yeah. What's it called?
Oh, you don't think Blue Bayou has a happy ending? What do you say?
Overall, yeah, I pretty much I think touch base on all the films. Let's kind of wrap this on final thoughts and opinions. Let's start off with you, Ron.
I liked it overall. I definitely, it's something I do want to rewatch at a certain point. Right now, I'd say I'd put it on streaming, but that's just something that would, because honestly, it's probably something I don't know if I would pay for, but I would. But it's worth a rewatch, I'll say, and it could go higher on my ratings, but yeah, it's good. I liked it. The performances were fantastic. Yeah.
Like I said, it does it's my least favorite of the three. I'm just gonna be honest. That doesn't mean I don't like it. It's good. It's good. It's his prettiest movie. I think Blue Bayou is a little more technically perfect in terms of filmmaking, but it is his prettiest movie. Obviously, the performances are really strong. That's never going to be a problem for him. As my favorite ending, It's somewhere between streaming and on the shelf. I don't know which one yet.
Just commit.
I'll say streaming with possible viewings leading it to be on the shelf. I want to watch it again. I want to watch it again, which is my ultimate. I like it because there's 9 out of 10 movies I watch I don't ever want to see again. I do want to see this one again. So.
Coming from the guy who fought in Koreatown. I'm just kidding.
I love how Philip is just so accepting of all of our ratings.
Philip, you're gonna hate me for this one, I think.
Oh my god.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So when I came in here today, I was gonna say shit bucket, 100% definitely.
Wow, that is way harsh.
I legitimately didn't connect with this movie. It couldn't keep me focused or ingrained in it, and I was trying.
Even the shit bucket's so harsh though.
Yeah.
That's like this movie's got almost no value.
So, to me personally,
But then you also put the whaling in the shit bucket, so
to
Which
me,
we're going to talk about
spoilers.
soon.
yeah.
it didn't it didn't have that thing that made me really connect to a film. Now, that did have something to do, I think, with not understanding like half the film. It felt like
It was not half.
okay,
the film.
well, a third of the film at least, and that kind of disconnecting me from the film throughout. So at this point, I will say that tentatively, I would put it in the shit bucket, but I might give it another watch.
What?
On Hulu?
You're really gonna put it in the
What?
shit bucket?
I really did not.
Fundamentally,
I
Shit,
fundamentally
not
did
even the
not
bargain
enjoy this
bin?
movie.
I feel
Not
like
even the bargain
yeah,
bin.
yeah.
Do bargain.
I know.
bargain bin.
Come on.
Shit
I know.
bucket?
I know. We just gave
Shit
Philip
bucket?
shit
You know
for
what? Let's okay. Let's.
I'll put it in the bargain bin then.
No, let's
fine.
not pressure him.
Yeah.
If you really feel shit bucket, that's fine. I'm not gonna.
I just didn't connect with this movie. I don't know. The characters weren't all that interesting to me. The storyline was boring.
Okay,
It just
let him speak.
that's how I am. So you know that I always have contrarian opinions, and I don't do it on purpose. That's just how I felt.
That's fine.
about this
I respect
film.
that.
You know,
I respect that. It breaks my heart and it kills me on the
We're
inside. But I
pulling the
respect
Dark
that.
Crystal episode.
Yeah.
I will say, like, because we kind of clarified our thoughts on what something is that goes into the museum. For me, it's like shit bucket film has like little to absolute no value in the movie itself, and it's like not even the least bit entertaining
That put Black
or
Widow in
like
the shit
technical and stuff.
I did.
See, that's how
put
I
it-
felt.
you guys put bargain
I
bin.
felt that this was not the least bit entertaining to me.
Yeah,
It
but
was
that-
boring.
but that
was- no,
it
but-
was.
yeah,
Yeah, I felt personally that my watching of it left me with no redeeming impact, and I was getting bored throughout the entire film. I struggled to get through this film.
We are now accepting resumes for a sound technician.
Jeez.
Just kidding.
Email at us at
Email at us at
what's the thing from
Slip in
Man
our
from Nowhere?
DMs.
Obama dot like White House.
Uh,
Okay, but I do appreciate that you said on rewatch. You know,
yeah,
it might change.
you know, I might give it another rewatch on Hulu and see if that does change my opinion.
Yeah, I kinda
and if
wanna
I
watch
can
this on
connect
Hulu.
more with the movie
Yeah.
after understanding what they're talking about. But yeah, okay. So Jason,
All right, so I'm in the same boat. I need to rewatch it with the fucking subtitles, just so I can get better context to those scenes. So for now, sorry, Philip, it's gonna be streaming, but not on Amazon. Yeah, I do want to watch it again, and I didn't dislike anything about this movie. It just, again, it was very low energy for my taste, and I feel like this story could have been a bit more impactful to me, but it just didn't hit those notes quite right. Maybe you say it gets better on further rewatches, so I'll definitely give it another shot soon. But yeah, streaming for now.
Silence.
yep.
Is how I feel now after
Yeah.
hearing all your ratings. Silence. I'm just kidding.
3
It's fine.
streams in a shit bucket.
Let's go. To be fair, this is your first time watching it, so it's like I understand that. I really do understand it. Like I did not. What's it called? I was not very favorable on this film on the first watch. What's it called? But I guess because even though it is my favorite of the Justin Chon films, I'm like debating whether I want to actually put it on the shelf or in the museum. Because part of my requisite for the museum is the impact that it had, and it only came out 2019. And if I predict how it will last throughout, films, right? Like film history. Fuck it, it's in the museum. I really do think that as time goes on, this will probably be his more like you get the raw, you get the raw debut, but you get kind of like the more technical. It's like his If Beale Street Could Talk, right? Like, then again, nobody watches here. Never mind. But it's hard to put that analogy there, where it's like Moonlight was the bigger film, but If Beale Street Could Talk was like a different, more slower, paced film, but offered probably more like its own level of depth. So yeah, I would say that too, because if Beale Street Could Talk is also on the museum for me if we ever talk about that film.
Spoilers.
Yeah, let's go. Which I don't know if we ever will, but then yeah, but yeah, that's how I feel. I do love this film a lot, quite a bit. It's universal themes about what's it called a father's connection with the daughter and the son, and I guess like it kind of hits home for me. Well, pretty much all his films actually, because it touches subjects pretty close. So yeah, that's the rating. All right, the next film we'll talk about, the last one, the big Kahuna film that just came out, and also with a bit of controversy, is Blue Bayou.
I should have been a singer.
No,
I got
just
something in
no.
my record deal.
So, brief synopsis for this film: it's about Antonio LeBlanc, a Korean American adoptee in New Orleans, who faces deportation after he discovers his adopted parents never naturalized him as a U.S. citizen. In efforts to stay with his family, Antonio resorts back to crime while also confronting the trauma from his forgotten life in South Korea. Okay, so what is everyone's familiarity with like adoptee deportation crisis and Adam Crapster, which this film heavily gets inspired from?
I had no prior knowledge to Adam Crasper. I do a little more now afterwards. I don't really know much other than what's on the news, honestly, just kind of going over a lot of the immigration and, deportating a lot of people and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the first I've heard about. What's his name? Adam Craster?
Crapster and stuff like that. I'm sorry if I know he has a different like Korean name.
Yeah.
But this is his adopted name. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I knew very little other than the statement that we just read right now. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I only know a little bit from a couple articles that I read after watching this movie, but yeah.
I had no idea there was like controversy until after I even saw the movie.
Yeah,
Same.
I didn't know there's controversy until about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
That's cool.
To me, this movie really didn't seem like it actually focused too heavily on the issue of adoptee deportation. It seemed like
Whoa,
no,
Miles.
Listen to me.
Miles.
No, listen to me for a second. If you look at this story or this movie as a whole, the story was really about families and mixed families and how they can work together, as well as looking at different people who are in different positions of power through different lenses. It used the idea of adoptee deportation as the underlying story, but it didn't really seem like it was the central focus of the film, even though it was. It seemed like it was.
Wait, so you're saying that it doesn't seem like the central focus of the story, even though it does? That kind of just...
Okay,
I kind of get what you're saying.
It is
though.
the central focus of the film, naturally.
But in the main underlying context, the subtext.
Yeah,
right,
it was more like the context of the film instead of like the actual story of the film.
I agree with you up until the ending, like where they have that little slideshow of all the people or some of the people who have been affected by this.
Yeah.
And that really kind of drives the point home for the film. Like,
This is real.
This happens. This is what the movie was about. This is tragic and it sucks. And I agree with all those things. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, it is focusing on that.
It sucks, Jason Momoa.
Yeah, it's
But
it's kind of a bummer, man.
But it was about so much more than that. It was about
a
guy who has done bad things but is trying to do the right thing for his family, struggling through being basically harassed by the cops and harassed by the American legal system to so that he's not able to take care of his family.
Yeah.
And he's not able to stay around.
And you
see the conflict between him and the cops and ice and stuff like that. And one of his best friends is in ice, and you see him throughout the movie learn that, hey, it's, maybe all these people that I'm deporting aren't all bad people. This guy's good. I know him. And you see a lot of character development surrounding the conflict, but it's more personal character development, especially for the surrounding characters, other than Antonio.
Yeah,
This is an interesting one. Sorry.
I was just gonna say there was similar controversy surrounding the film Stillwater. You guys know anything about that?
Yeah, the Man of Knox. Yeah, I've seen.
Yeah.
That was a really funky version of Amanda Knox story.
Yeah. So I don't buy that as much because that movie, again, it wasn't necessarily about Amanda Knox being imprisoned. It was more about the dad, Matt Damon's character, learning to live in this new environment and understanding a different culture. Like, he's hyper American in that movie, and then he falls in love with where did it take place? France? Was it in France? I think it was in France.
Was it France or Italy? I forgot.
I think Amanda Knox was in Italy.
Oh no, it was France in the film.
Yeah. And that
spoiler alert for Stillwater. It's whatever.
It's I honestly really liked everything surrounding Matt Damon in France, and everything with his daughter was kind of lame to me.
Especially the ending.
But yeah, so it was a similar controversy there. I just want to say that.
Yeah, I remember that. That one's Amanda Knox directly made a statement lambasting.
Yeah, I read all of it on Twitter.
Yeah. And I kind of get where she's coming from, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is very clearly inspired.
Inspired, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, on one end, I get it. If someone makes a movie about you without your consent, it is a little and I could be upset if someone makes a story about you and then in kind of a way misrepresents you and lightens the load. That comes up a lot whenever there's something about suffering and they kind of minimize it. That's always a thing. I know some people, this is totally in the off direction, but it is relevant. The movie I, Tonya. In that movie, I know a lot of people are mad because they do show abuse where he hits her, but in the actual her accounts, it was way worse than that. He would actually chase her around and stuff, and she'd run for her life. So I think it's kind of similar to that, where they're more mad that it's misrepresentation of trauma, where it's
if you're gonna go there, if you're gonna tell that story,
show it more honestly.
Yeah.
But that one's because they actually use their names.
Yeah.
And this one is at least they do. Even with the Stillwater one, it's not the same names. Not
no,
the same
not the same country.
Yeah, definitely inspired by. It's even less so with this one because it's even though there's a lot of things they took from the Adam Crafter story. I mean, you guys talked after I told you guys about the basic of the stuff. But there is other elements of other adoptees that you can see kind of put into it. But yeah, it's tricky. Well, before we get into that, brief background about the kind of one of the big not crux of the film, but one of the big elements regarding the adoptee thing, that why he can't get his citizenship automatically, is the Child Citizenship Act of 2000, where it grants any child who's under 18 years old, that's an adoptee, by the year of 2000, an automatic U.S. citizenship. But Antonio, I think, barely makes the cutoff, right, in the film?
Yeah,
it's a couple years off. So that was quite unfortunate. And main thing what happened is he's in New Orleans. He's with his wife Kathy, played by Alicia Vikander, and his stepdaughter Jessie, and they had a certain altercation with Ace, who is the absentee father for Jessie, and a very cartoony cop named what's it called by Denny? Is it Denny?
Well,
yeah.
I think Denny was a very cartoony cop. I liked Ace's portrayal as a cop. I think that there was a lot of depth. Ace was
an actual character.
There was a lot of depth to his character too.
Yeah, because one of the things I'll talk about later is I thought they were doing something at first, and I was really oh, we're doing this, and then they don't. And I was oh, okay. Because Ace is a real character. His partner is almost too over the top, and how fucking awful he is.
But there are a lot of cops.
There are a lot of cops.
So it's hard for me
to
criticize it. Yeah. And he does propel the plot. You know what I mean?
With this film in particular, it's strange because it has some of my harsher criticisms of his 3 films so far, but I also really enjoyed it though. But yeah, that was one of them for sure. Is I feel like they maybe cranked up his evil villainness a little too much. I understand it's supposed to be like, I mean, it is. There are people
Shit
like
does-
that
and this
for
shit does
sure.
happen, yeah.
Yeah, and this shit definitely does still happen to this day. But I don't know. But I definitely like the way they tackled the nuance characterizations of the other characters. That like most of his other characters in other films, no one's black and white except for that one cop guy, which maybe was the only thing that that's like probably the biggest thing that bugged me. Was it felt like he is really lacking characterization other than just he's an asshole.
And it's
Who
weird.
likes sausage and coconuts?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird because it's from the actor who played it was Emery Cohen, who is unrecognizable in this film. Like you guys have seen Place Beyond the Pines in Brooklyn.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's it called? Like
He was great in The Place Beyond the Pines.
Who was it?
Yeah.
Place Beyond the Pines?
he was
Gonna Get the
Bradley
Drugs?
Cooper's son.
Yeah.
Oh, that's him.
Yeah, that's it.
Really?
And he was like really fit and like this one. But here's like he gained. I think he
It's
gained
not
weight
get
for
the
the film or
drugs.
stuff.
You
right?
come to the party.
Yeah,
night?
hey, it looks like definitely looks like
Yes.
you.
You
gained
cop
weight.
him the oxys?
Yeah.
Yes.
And he was great in Brooklyn with the Saoirse Ronan film about like Irish immigrants and shit. He's like, he plays you like he usually plays very good three-dimensional characters and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
and this one, like, I don't know. It's
Like
he's
I said,
he's
it's-
better than that role.
It's hard to criticize. It's because there are people like that, but it's just that all the other characters have depth to them.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
well,
it just makes
people
it more
like
apparent.
that, like, aren't just complete assholes. I don't think.
I think
like,
it's way more interesting. Like we were saying with Crash and Gook, and it's like those people are like that for a reason, right? And it's systemic, it's cultural, it's like it's a bunch of things behind it. And I just wish that we had seen a little bit more.
yeah. If
Yeah,
they
I
gave him
guess-
some depth,
I guess he was pretty much like the Johnny of this film. If you were to compare.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if Johnny had more depth.
slightly,
Yeah.
slightly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It's hard for me to. I mean, I do kind of want to fault it, but also at the same time, it's kind of like it does, like based on the reports that there are very much people like this.
Well, because also I was really worried Ace wasn't going to have any depth at all
Yeah.
at first,
Oh, yeah.
and then because I'll just talk about it now. So at the end of the movie, when they go to the hearing and he shows up, and then simultaneously, our main character is getting the shit kicked out of him. And he said, "I'm here to support you." I initially was like, "Oh, okay, you had something to do with this," and then you realize he doesn't. And I don't know, that was actually a really good moment where you're like, "Oh, he really was just there to."
Yeah, he lets what's her name? Alicia Vikander's character, Kathy, just go out there and beat the shit out of
Yeah,
him.
that's
That
one
was
of the
awesome.
yeah.
I like how he's just standing there, like all cop-like, like beat him up.
One guy just like handcuffs him. He's like, "No, you're going to jail."
Yeah, and Ace is Jesse's absentee father. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
There is
Yeah.
all that. And he's he's what's it called? That actor. I think he was like in Marriage Story, right? He was like
Yeah, I was
and-
trying to place him. 'cause
Who
he
is
looks
he? He
so
looked very
familiar.
familiar.
He was the one who replaced Adam Driver at the end as Scarlett Johansson's lover,
Oh.
and also he was the main love interest for
He
Ready
was,
or Not.
Yeah, he was Alex, the husband
Yeah,
in that film, and yeah, he does a great job.
yeah,
in
he
there.
is not unrecognizable. Like he has very distinctive, like pathetic face.
That's where he is.
But
Jesus.
yeah, but like
Tumor
that's
face,
I like that.
pathetic face.
That's
You
his
guys are
real
mean.
face,
Yeah, and I like that. Like it's very distinctive. Like I recognize him like instantly. Like I think he's might be coming up somewhere. Like no, I mean like I might be up and coming. We'll see.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he's
So
great in this movie.
I think that he did this movie in general. One of the things I really respect about it is the portrayal of estranged parents.
Yeah.
Because you could tell that he is estranged from his daughter and his ex-wife, but he does still care about his daughter, and it's really you're trying to figure out how much of the conflict is because of him and how much is because of maybe parental alienation by Jesse's mom, or just by Jesse feeling like he isn't there for her enough just because she doesn't see him all the time and she has a new dad, basically.
Yeah.
And you see that through Antonio's perspective as well, when he says, well, don't you think that Jesse should be seeing Ace a little bit more
Yeah,
often?
And it's like a good
it's like,
foreshadow to how
Yeah.
Antonio will be like this. Just how
yeah.
Ace was displaced as
Yeah.
a parent,
Mm-hmm.
just like how Antonio will be displaced from the country.
Yeah.
And that was good. There's a good little foreshadows every now and then, and then like what's it called, like written motifs. But yeah.
And also, I think that does a good job at showing that Ace isn't the bad guy that he's kind of portrayed to be when Antonio says that, because Antonio did go through trauma with his adopted parents.
Yeah,
he knows what a bad parent is, and he also knows that Ace isn't a bad parent.
Yeah,
and he feels bad for him on a certain level, because he thinks to himself, I do wish that I had a parent that was better than what I did.
Ace is a bad parent trying to be a good parent, and he doesn't.
Yeah.
Well,
how is he a bad Paul and Dexter?
Yeah.
How is he a bad parent?
More sympathetic than
but
Paul.
Abandoning your kid.
But how did he abandon her?
He left. I mean, they said he left. He was absentee.
Both
he left at birth.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he wasn't just there. That's a bad parent.
Yeah.
Okay. So no, but was there?
It's not as bad as like a rapist or an abuser, but it's still bad.
Okay, but that's just from the perspective of Jesse's mom. Was there a divorce? We don't really know the story of why did he leave.
Wait, even if they weren't married, it's like
he still like he not just like they weren't just separated and they lived in a separate house. He literally just abandoned and just left the kid.
But how do you know that?
That's what they said.
They said it. They said it in the movie.
That's what the mom said.
No, he said too that I'm sorry for just abandoning you. Remember the conversation in the tree?
Yeah, he literally said that he left, and I understand what you're trying to say, but like, I think it's very like obvious that like he was a bad guy. He did leave, like he straight up abandoned them. You don't know the relationship like between the parents, but still, it even by his own admittance, like he just left because maybe he didn't want to be a parent anymore, maybe for whatever reason, but he decided to go and just completely abandoned the kid, which is fucked up, and that's not a good parent. And he acknowledges that, and he tries to be better, which says a lot because a lot of people in the situation don't do that.
Yeah, and he kind of redeems himself at the end. He's like trying and stuff.
Yeah, he's on the first steps to being a better person. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But either way, I do like that they add that again, he's not just some asshole who's just like, give me my kid. Like he does have some more.
He has depth.
Yeah,
and he didn't even rat out Antonio because he knows that that's the dad for her current kid right now.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't do any benefit for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like he says, like he's like, if he stays, then you guys get to stay, and that's great. Which honestly, it didn't matter anyway because he leaves.
Yeah, and even at the end, like he was like, I just want to say goodbye to my daughter.
Yeah. That's it.
He wasn't there for some evil motivation.
Yeah. Which oh man, I don't know. Can I get in some of the criticisms I had for this?
Misery porn.
What's it called?
It is a bit touches that on the bit. Like
I don't know, because like especially like considering the actual story was like way worse.
I know.
And it's divorce, never sees his kid, it's a 10-year ban.
I will
he
say
lives in a crappy like 1-bedroom apartment that's like 300 square feet.
Yeah, no, I do understand that, like, a lot of the basis is there. I'm just going off of, like, how the film and how it's portrayed a bit. Like, it felt like a few instances they went a little out of the way to make it a little more depressing than it needed to.
Like, which parts?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
For me, like, the biggest one was the final moment where he is departing from his family. In terms of, like, how the story is, it's like, I don't understand why he didn't take the family with him, his 2 daughters and the wife, because she was ready to go. She packed up. She was there. Ace was fine with her leaving. I understand it's still a traumatic moment. It's still sad. And they were all ready to go continue their life together. Instead, now he's kind of doing what Ace did. I understand it's completely different situations, and he's not like, this is like he's being forced out of the country, but like he is kind of abandoning his daughter, because it's like, why not have her come with him? Like, why not have them continue their life in Korea? And it's not easy by any means, and that's like it's a horrible situation we put in. I don't care, like that's awful, but it's like, why didn't he take them?
Well, no, because you also remember like the way the relationship was left off was that like he, after getting brutally attacked by Denny, like he knocked on the door, but then she didn't answer, and he felt rejected, and he was already like at all-time low. Suicide and stuff like that. Which
also, that was a bit of one of those moments too, where I was like, when he's pounding on the door, it's like, really, no one isn't concerned that, like, even though he very clearly was, this was a super high priority for him that he wanted to stay in the country, and this was a big deal. The only real issue was him trying to reach out to his mom. And when he doesn't show up, everyone's just like, well, fuck him.
I do agree with that.
I was like, no one's concerned. He's been gone all night, and he missed this extremely important
I don't know,
hearing.
because at this point, like her trust in him was already breaking. Like at her point, her perspective.
Well,
she's already,
but my biggest issue with the entire movie is the fact that he was kidnapped by a cop, beat to shit. He doesn't go to the hospital. He doesn't call the police. He doesn't call
That
the
part I do
media.
agree with, yeah.
Like, he doesn't do anything to like fix this situation.
Yeah.
If you're kidnapped, it's okay that you miss your court date. Like,
Yeah.
you can get another one. Also, the fact that a cop did it and could easily get him more sympathy.
Yeah,
He just didn't even attempt this at all. Like, that's my biggest issue with this movie. Like, you want to go, like, you want to have the moment where he gets the shit kicked out of him, fine. But you have to make the story fit that, and they really didn't.
I do agree completely with that. That like, I for me, at least for the Kristen with the why I didn't answer, I completely understand with that part because her trust was broken so many times, and at this point, she's probably assuming that he just went back to crime or something like that. And
But
the mom was
that doesn't
frustrated.
make any sense though. Just in terms of like how his character has been portrayed so far. Like if they showed him like,
But she she literally left the first time when like the $5,000 and then the mom stuff.
No,
and then
I
if
understand
he doesn't
that.
show up to the court date and stuff like that.
But it's like he was doing all that in service of trying to stay and trying to fight this and everything.
Yeah.
No,
So
I
it doesn't
agree.
make any sense from her perspective or his perspective. Definitely,
And she was
that
also
like
influenced by her mom probably too. Her
she
mom was just
bounced.
like, yeah,
I get the
like,
mom. The mom's whatever. She's fine. Like I understand that she's an asshole, basically, and she's like, oh well, fuck him. Like you know.
And also, she's probably like angry and distressed. She doesn't know the reason why, right?
Reminds me of the mom from Dexter.
Yeah.
Rita's mom.
I do want to say, I actually understand why at the end he's like, yeah, don't come with me yet. Because throughout the whole movie, one of the core themes, especially with his, the Vietnamese lady, what was her name? The one with cancer?
Parker.
Parker.
Yeah.
You know, through his relationship with Parker is him actually trying to face his fear of, oh shit, what if I go back to this country that I know nothing about? You know, I'm completely disconnected with this culture. What am I going to do with my life there? And I think that even through the end, he's still struggling with that. And he, you know, sees that, hey, I'm going to go out there. I'm probably going to be living on the streets, like trying to figure out some way to survive because I can't speak Korean. You know, I don't know the culture. He has 2 felonies. He's still a Korean citizen. So probably the first thing that he's going to have to do when he goes back is join the military because,
Exactly.
And he's not going to be able to care for his kids. So, I think that he starts to realize that, and he knows that he can't bring her along yet. And eventually I think he still hopes to.
Yeah,
But
I think
he also wants to give Ace a chance to make things right in his stead.
I got that vibe as well because he does say like, I don't even know where I'm staying yet. Like, I can't. You can't bring a family and just have them on the street. Yeah, you know. Yeah.
And she has a job. Like she has a medical degree or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
That she's working as
like
a nurse.
a nurse or something.
Yeah.
Whatever say.
And then she's like a physical therapist, I think, for what's it called?
Yeah.
That's the thing. PT.
I get that.
That's what Leia told me.
I wish they would have like portrayed that a little bit more then because it really because like
fine. I agree with.
I don't know. I think that was just like on subtext, from subtext.
I think that's fine. Like I agree with Miles on that degree, but I do agree her not answering, and then it's like okay, it's like she doesn't answer, then the suicide attempt. Then Parker dies. It really does become like okay.
Yeah, everything sucks.
What Kurt Sutter direct this?
Yeah.
I agree with. I'll say this. I agree with the Denny part that wasn't like handled the most logical way, or like it was. You know, I mean, it was. I definitely felt like it was a plot device, that character.
Yeah,
definitely to propel the plot and like force it and stuff like that.
He was arrested for it. How was that not like known by the judge?
Yeah, right. Like he's clearly arresting him. Yeah, for this, he's gonna press charges and stuff. Yeah, how are you not just like, so we have a very clear
at the point.
First thing I would have done: go to the hospital, get medical records, call the police, then call the media, have them put pressure on it, like get the story out.
With the judges, regardless of it can't be overturned.
Even if you're kidnapped and beaten to within an inch of your death.
Once it's ruled, it can't be overturned afterwards. This is the really shitty thing about IC and like the immigration stuff like that. Yeah, it's like
it still would have helped him possibly.
It's like
in the future,
like because that's what happened.
If he had taken it to the media, he could have gotten a pardon.
That's what happened to Adam Crafter. He took everything to the media and stuff like that, and he got deported. The main reason what happened was he just went to get a green card application, and they did background check, and he had a criminal record, and the IC put him as a target for deportation as a result. So regardless, I think the moment they found him out, he was not guaranteed. There was no guarantee. There was absolute guarantee that he wasn't gonna get deported. Yeah, unless he was on the run. Remember, like the one IC guy is like, if you run, I'm not gonna catch you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that would probably be the only way for him to live, which wouldn't be suitable for his family.
Yeah.
Right?
No, definitely not.
Yeah, unless he lived as a criminal and just kept on sending them money and stuff, but that's no way to live. So, I think he was pretty much like marked for deportation / death. You know.
Okay.
So I think like at that point it wouldn't really help regardless. Like it was just like that momentary glimpse of help.
Yeah, he could have moved to a sanctuary city.
You mean in Korea?
No, in like the United States, there's a lot of cities that won't. What do you call it? Won't enforce deportation orders.
Interesting.
Which one? There's some. I don't know any exactly, but it's a big deal in the fucking media and stuff.
Oh, what's it called? If you guys are hearing this, I was like,
"Hey, you hear that?
Yeah, I mean,
all the illegals, all you have to do is go to those sanctuaries."
This is why I disagree with you saying this movie's not about this, though. It's about a broken system ultimately.
Yeah.
And it's about like the damage. And I don't know. I definitely agree that it's that, and it's also just about like the theme of like broken families, like by circumstance more than anything else. I don't know. It's a sad movie.
Yeah.
I'm more than ready to move on and talk about the strengths of this film because there are quite a few. A lot of the stuff
It's technically beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes. Like it's shot on like 16mm film. It has a different aspect ratio 1661. Like his others are anamorphic 2351.
Yeah.
Like super wide, but it's a little bit more like a box format and stuff. And he does not hide at all. It's shot on film.
No.
Like he shows the grain and everything.
Some roughness to it.
And then also you can tell with like what's called the bleach bypass or like the highlights or like how overexposed some lights are purposely to kind of create this almost dreamlike imagery.
I love that. Like just the opening of it, it's completely dark. You're immersed in the sounds of the bayou. Yeah. Just kind of immediately transports you into this world, and then it goes very dreamlike, like you said.
Yeah.
Like
with like his mom, right? Like cha cha da da udi ada, like that song and stuff.
On that like pink like river and everything that she's on, and then it transitions then to like the blueness of the bayou and everything, which was fantastic. It immediately hooked me in. I was like, "Ooh, fuck yeah, I'm ready to watch this."
Yeah, I really like the dream, like the magical realism aspect of it and stuff like that, and like he does flashbacks extremely well. Yeah, especially in this one where it's like it's mixed in between like reality. It's not like a whole separate thing. Yeah, it's always misty too whenever the boat comes. Yeah, I do like that part of it. It's such a great choice, New Orleans.
Yeah, it really gives it such a unique feeling and feel. Like Louisiana and then New Orleans in particular, it's such like the aesthetic is so like I don't know, it's so well done. It's captured really well without like having to default to like that French Quarter kind of thing that normally is defined what people define New Orleans by, but it felt like just of the people, just like on the street levels, and you see him just around like just living in Louisiana. I also love the tattoo parlor setting. I think is really cool, kind of getting into that more like underside of the city, but like it's obviously tattoos have become just way more prominent in culture today. But like just what it meant to these people, these guys are just all hanging out together. And I liked him tattooing the ice guy too. Yeah. Did not expect that just for them. Like it's like a film that it obviously takes a pretty hard stance on a lot of the immigration stuff. And I like how it's very nuanced in that sense where it's like they could very easily have the ice guy just be a complete asshole that just like even all the cops like Ace, like we're saying, but there is a lot more that gray area. Yeah.
Like he has a job where he does undeniably shitty things, separating families. But he shows level humanity with Antonio where he escorts him, hugs him, even talks to him and it even offers him a moment of escape.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the whole movie, he's like a really good friend.
Yeah.
Like, even when the ace and asshole cop walk in to the motorcycle shop, he's just like immediately defending Antonio and not being like, okay, like, oh, law enforcement, I gotta side with them. He's just a good friend. That's really all he is.
Yeah.
Even the criminal friend, like he's also
Yeah.
like he's also very like he's also multidimensional. Like also like I like the fact that I actually like the fact that he left. Like during when they stole the motorcycle and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's just like, as much as you're my friend, I also got to be practical. In my
Yeah,
sense.
and there's no hard feelings there.
Yeah. There's like in any other film would make a super dramatic moment. It's like, why the fuck did you leave me?
Yeah,
And have a whole
they really
moment.
didn't even have a conversation about it.
Well,
We just understood the circumstance.
it explains why he got caught so many times if that's his MO, to just fucking keep on going back even though everybody else is about to leave.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like that part of it was the extra
like,
driving
I need money,
factor.
I need money, I need money.
And he's like, if you get a Ducati, then you automatically get like I forget how much, and he's just like, I
$2,000.
fucking need it. Like, he needs every cent he can get.
Oh my god. And it's like,
Which, by the way, that sequence so well done. That was
love
the
that sequence.
absolute most tense moment in the film for me. That was my favorite. Just the whole sequence.
motorcycle.
I love
Yeah.
right before when they're all in the van, they're talking about what they would do with a ton of money or whatever, and where they would go. And his friend asked him, "Where would you go?" And he said, "I'd stay right the fuck here."
Yeah, yeah.
And that's probably my favorite line in the whole movie.
And then afterwards, the music, like the cello playing and everything as they're like dismantling the cars. And I got to give credit to Rosie here for really pointing this out. But his pink hair, which is like, it just felt like it was a symbol, a physical thing of him showing him trying to be a good father, trying to be the good person that's there for his family.
Yeah.
but
and
then
as
shedding
he's
away.
as he's like working on it, and the rain, everything is having it just dripping down his back. It's fading away. He's losing it as he's like falling back onto his old crimes. It's like just degrading as he's, being a criminal, which is exactly not the kind of person he wants to be.
I saw it dripping down him kind of like blood. Like, it felt like he was doing something criminal again and relating that criminality to, bleeding and pain and suffering through it, kind of symbolizing, the blood coming out of him.
Yeah.
But
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah. But that is my
symbolism
favorite
to it.
sequence.
Yeah.
Like, just the way, like,
Yeah.
he whatever Miss Purple did, he did on steroids here.
Yeah.
In terms of, like, it's even higher shutter speed, lower frame rate.
Yeah, very
even more
jarring.
crazy. Yeah.
Certain
and
parts.
I was like, wow, it definitely got to me, like, immediately Chunking Express.
Yeah.
The vibe and stuff. And with the music, this is probably more Chunking Express than Miss Purple.
Yeah.
And then
I think every movie
definitely.
we're going to talk to about now is
It's just
Chunking
Chunking
Express in
Express.
some way.
yeah, every film.
It's either Chunking Express or it's In the Mood for Love.
It's the best two films of all time. You know what I mean? Oh, what's it called? I was pretty super mesmerized by that sequence. Anything with that, anything when he does little extra creative flourishes, or even like when he's under the bridge bypass, and it's like a golden hour.
Dude, that's my
Yeah.
favorite shot in the movie, hands down. It looks like he's towering over this massive bridge. It's really fucking cool.
It's kind of like the way I see this film is not in terms of narrative or anything, but like I can see like in terms of like people's reaction, where I think it's his it might be either like his Hateful Eight, or if we're comparing to Tarantino, Hateful Eight, or his Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where like his narrative might not be as well regarded as some of his other films, but technically I think he's like at least now at his peak.
I think this had a stronger narrative than his other two
Yeah, I would
films.
agree with that.
Yeah.
The other movies aren't even really that concerned.
Yeah, those are more character
Yeah,
pieces.
those are and like I said, those are more slice of life than this too. This definitely has a driving
Of
plot.
course.
Yeah.
And I actually think I prefer him with less narrative.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't know. I like his in the moment stuff of just like, here's a moment, and that I don't know.
And he still has it here. With
Yeah, he
like,
still has it. It's just it's not as
Yeah.
strong, which I think is why I like his other two.
well, and it seemed like there were kind of a few different narratives going on throughout this film. Like, and they all kind of just intertwined together, like, especially when it comes to the Parker narrative.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand what the point of having it there was
It's
until
Oh.
towards the very end of it, because then I started to see, oh, it's symbolizing his, you know, being disconnected from his home culture.
I
And-
got that right away. I felt,
Yeah.
Well,
I was like,
no,
I
but-
get that feeling.
And
also
I
'cause,
didn't
like-
see it to be very important, but then also there was a question that he asked while he was tattooing Parker right at the end, where he asked the dad, you know, was
Do you
it worth
regret
it? Yeah. Do you regret splitting up your family?
Yeah.
And the dad says no. And I think that that was a very driving statement that led to the
Mhm.
eventual ending of the film,
Oh,
where he
yeah.
realizes, hey, splitting up my family might be the right choice.
Right. That's good
Mhm.
foreshadowing on that end.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like let's talk about the Parker thing for a bit. So Parker is a Vietnamese refugee that came over here with her father. She was split up on the boat between her father and her, and her. I think her brother and mother were on another
Yes.
boat,
Yes.
and then they died in a boat
Yeah.
accident, tragically. And then now they live here, but then she's dying from cancer. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? They don't specify because it's not really important. We just know that she's dying, and at the moment, you know, she kind of needs to cling on, and I get that. Like, what's it called? At the point in time, she probably needs someone to cling on and be friends with, and
Yeah.
to share her final moments.
I was left wondering why she chose Antonio.
Well, because he's one of the few only Asian people in the.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know
There's
if
not that
the
many.
fact that he's Asian has anything to do with it. But
I think that she
I
also
felt I felt
I
a
think it
bit.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does honestly.
What's the whole, like, the daughter says, "Hey, you look just like my dad."
Yeah.
She kind of
Yeah.
like has a soft moment where she kind of laughs, says, "I do, don't I?"
Yeah.
So I will say that I kind of saw it as being she was a very reserved person, it seemed like. And she saw in Antonio somebody who was like her because, you know, they are both Asian, but somebody who isn't reserved, somebody who's out there and outgoing and kind of what she wishes a little bit she had been, experienced life more and things like that. That's why she gets the tattoos from him. That's why, you know, she rides the motorcycle without the helmet because she wants to be a more adventurous person in her
Yeah.
final days because she's got nothing to lose.
By the way, with the tone of this film, I was totally expecting her to fall off and like die.
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
like, "Don't fall off, please don't fall off. Don't let it go there."
No, there was a point where I thought that she was just gonna let go or like die
Yeah.
on the back
Well,
of
you
the
can
bus.
like
see
the
her
end
hand.
of
I was like,
Sons
"You
of
realize
Anarchy.
what you're gonna do to him
Yeah.
if you fucking die?"
What's it called? As for she was reserved, I don't know about that because, like, you know, she already was, what's it called, a little pretty sociable, and she said she had monthly
Well-
hangouts with her family and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I liked her. I think I saw it as she seeing this man who's very possibly not connected to his roots and stuff. And then obviously later they have the line where she's like, "I love lilies because they look like they don't have roots, but they do need roots because they are what connects them to." It's like, I get it. Yeah.
that was not my favorite. That was
Yeah, that was probably one of the clunky lines. I was like, this is where the movie wasn't so subtle.
No.
But
it was least subtle film for sure.
yeah, which
Yeah.
I was mostly fine with it. I liked him again, like, because he is very disassociated with his roots, and it does a lot, and obviously it has a lot to do with, you know, his heritage and what, you know, being separated from it does to a person, you know, because you don't feel at home here, but it is your home, and it is where you're ultimately kind of from. Really, that's what it matters to you. But at the same time, it's like people always see you as an outsider, and that's rough.
It's kind of like that. I'm sorry to do this. It's kind of like that good episode of BoJack Horseman where Diane visits Vietnam.
Oh, yeah.
She
Yeah.
says, "Do you ever feel like you're a tourist in your own like home country?"
Yeah,
And it's like, I don't belong in LA and I don't belong here. It's very similar. Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
I get that a lot too. It's like, you know, I hate to always say this, but like, you know, my family, you know, coming from a first generation thing, it's like you often feel like, yeah, I have a foot in this other culture, and I have like a place here, but even then, it doesn't always feel like you're necessarily from there because you are, you know, quote unquote, like whitewashed and stuff like that. And it's like, I was born here, so I'm very culturally American, but I'm also culturally Salvadorian. And now, when I visited there for the first time, I also felt like just a tourist and out of place. I was just like, yeah, people can practically see it on my face that I'm not really from here. And so it's like, you know, you kind of just feel a little that dissociation.
Exactly. It's like
it's a really strange feeling.
So what did you guys think of the scene where the little girl rolled a spring roll for Antonio?
Oh, that was great.
Yeah, it was
I
really cute.
absolutely loved it. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
what's it called? And once again, it's like him because he's very reticent about accepting other cultures other than the one that he's familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And then him like doing that was visually communicating that him opening up, right? Just
Yeah.
finally accepting it. And even Kathy, ate the spring roll, which are very tasty, by the way. And they fucked
I
up.
love spring rolls.
So-
They need to fucking dip it, by the way. There was no fucking dip.
Actually,
Where's the dip?
I thought more so what that showed was that he was so disconnected from his culture, or like the Korean culture, or his heritage.
Well, they were Vietnamese.
Yeah, I know, but they were being used as a facsimile for culture.
Yeah.
But he was so disconnected that he had less experience than even a little kid, and basically, he was becoming a child again. A little bit in terms of his experience, and showing that when he goes back to Korea, he knows so little about the culture that he's going to basically be like a little kid again, trying to learn it.
He's gonna be learning.
Yeah,
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah. That could illustrate and foreshadow what's going to happen to his life in in Korea, which just happened to Adam Crasser, who they gave him like a therapist, the government, that doesn't know how to speak English. Yeah. So I mean, he's kind of like that there, and his mom doesn't speak English at all, and it was just weird because like that's where I'm like, oh, it toes the line where they say it's not based on his story, but in real life, his mom sends him letters with broken English, and in the film, he has a letter from his mom in broken English about how they're drowning and stuff. So it's like, yeah, when we get into kind of like the real life exploitation / art, we'll definitely bring that up. But yeah, what do you guys think? So let's talk about the mom. What do you guys think about the story? It was revealed that the mom tried to drown him, and sadly, the one thing he remembers about his life in Korea is his mom drowning him as a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Very sad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The whole sequence is like, it's weird they presented ironically as a dream-like, almost beautiful, serene portrait, but it's juxtaposing this absolutely tragic event happening before our eyes, and then I'm personally torn with what I saw. Like it
symbolizes rebirth.
Yes.
Because he was reborn through drowning as an American, and he, washed off all of his Korean roots and heritage, and then towards the end, when he goes to drown himself again by driving his bike into the river, and he comes back out, and that's the next part of his life where he realizes he needs to go back to Korea. There's nothing he can do at this point, and yeah.
I agree with that, definitely. I mean, what's it called?
I got the sense
he even like opens his arms a little bit like this, like nice like imagery.
I wonder if
I mean,
it's if like Vin Diesel can help inspire this movie.
Oh, I know,
like
positive Vin
Fast and
Jesus
Furious.
Go on set for a day and shoot that.
Yes, they call it. It would have been crazier. It would have not been on actual water, green screen water. And he transitions, and Justin Chon sees different elements of his life, and he sees an actor that looks nothing like him play a younger version of him, and he finds out that his dad was actually killed by his brother. It's just like amazing stuff.
car accident.
Yeah.
Or it'd be a motorcycle accident in this one.
That was definitely a very beautiful scene. And I think it's like Reddit, like what Justin Chon said, that it's like for a lot of like adoptees, right? Like especially with the abusive foster parent system, is that they get rejected by their initial home country, then they get rejected by their foster parents from home to home, and only to get rejected by their new country. And he said the suicide rates for deported adoptees are insanely high. And I think like that's what I guess he was trying to go for with that one, and also the rebirth metaphor, which is that's a good catch, by the way. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think of the suicide scene? What's it called? And
I just thought, I was just like, yeah, all right, he's gonna die. I would have been upset. I would have been upset if he had, but like I felt like the movie was going that route.
Yeah, no, I thought for sure he was gonna die there.
But he
movies
pops out, and
that would have been interesting if he had died there, and then after the guy got arrested, his name was cleared, and they exonerated him, and they posthumously granted him.
What I wanted,
he rises up to become the police chief.
What I wanted when he was killing himself, what I was thinking was like, no, dude, you could still like do this. Like, you just got kidnapped, man. It's not your fault.
I mean, at most, what happened is like he gets justice,
but then that doesn't pay off anyway. So
yeah, what's it called? Like I say, at most he gets the guy arrested. I mean, we'll assume that he gets arrested, and then what's it called? And he goes to jail. But I mean, as for Antonio, it's kind of like a done deal. what's it called? Because once the decision is made, it's made. There's no more hearing out. They barely were about to give him this hearing. And it was just a courtesy, but it was like literally.
But he was kidnapped. He could have gotten another hearing. Like, no, there's no way.
ICE literally is like they're like the shittiest. Like not the people, but some of the shittiest organization. They're literally looking for.
I think they would have at least given him a second hearing.
See, the thing is, though, he's not an American citizen, so he doesn't have the same rights as the rest of us, unfortunately. Because, and that's why it's
he
so
at least
easy
would have gotten a second hearing.
No, but
like, there's no way you can convince me he wouldn't have.
It's hard to say, honestly. I feel
because,
like in Louisiana,
he was kidnapped and nearly beaten to death by a police officer.
He's still because the thing is, he still got what's it called? Because basically besides him, right? All the his value as a society, because that's the approach that this immigration lawyer was taking, right? Has already been presented, right? The only difference was whether or not he was there.
Yeah,
and what's it called?
And he wasn't able to be there because he was kidnapped and beaten nearly to death.
No, exactly. No, I get that part. But then, like, even if they what's it called? If
by a police officer.
If that was because that was the main crux of the argument, right? And they looked at that and they said nah. And even if they were presented like I'm here now and this happened, like most likely in this justice system and it's happened in the past.
Yeah, I'm not saying he would have gotten a different.
I know. I don't even think he would have got a hearing. I really don't. I think it would have just been like it's unfortunate what happened to you, but. The evidence
disagree.
already presented.
You're a criminal and you're illegal.
The judge would have just upheld his decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, like Ann Crasher was like a green card and he was like, I have 2 businesses and stuff like that. And he was like denied hearings on they but
I believe they would have probably kicked him out anyway.
Yeah. I really don't even think I think like at most would have got justice for Denny. Like not I feel like he would have got justice and have Denny like sent away from prison for a long time, but yeah, I don't know about the hearing
because
stuff.
That's one of the biggest problems with ICE and all the deportation stuff in general is because they are basically working off of showing that they're effective using statistics. And the statistics are saying, oh, we deported somebody with 2 felonies, looks really good on their record sheet.
Exactly, yeah.
And it doesn't matter what else he has done. But all they see is those 2 felonies, and they're like, okay, this is a person who scores those big brownie points with the government for getting rid of.
Check. Boom. Got that guy out. Yeah. Aren't we so great?
And also think about it. Like, if they really cared about justice, the initial, when he got arrested, was not his fault.
Yeah.
He was assaulted by police. But they didn't do any action towards, they didn't do any action towards Denny. And it didn't help him with his hearing at all.
Yeah.
Well, shit like that happens all the time. And I understand that. Yeah. I don't understand missing your court date because you got assaulted by a police officer and kidnapped. Like that is a completely different level than just, getting into a little tussle with a police officer in a grocery store.
And also, like, let's just say, like, let's say a possibility he might even get another hearing. I think that character at that moment, he feels so hopeless. He was suicidal, right?
Yeah.
That he doesn't even feel like there's a point in doing this. Yeah, I mean?
Too.
Yeah.
We could see that.
Yeah, because he was hopeless at the end. Yeah. And then even like he went to the airport without his family. He's like, they're better off without me. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm poisoned, whatever. And it's just like, I'll just go by myself, right? He was fully accepting his fate. Like, just a dead man walking, pretty much.
All right, you guys want to get into favorite shots, favorite moments?
Yeah.
For me, I think just one of my favorite shots was they're looking outside the window or outside the screen door, and you see like Antonio, like, and he's smoking, and with the kind of like blown out or not blown out, the out of focus background, like on the bayou where they're living and stuff, and you kind of see the string lights and stuff. Looked really fucking good. Like, and there's so many shots like that throughout the whole film. But yeah, favorite moments. I just loved him with Parker, and like their relation, or not Parker, with Jesse, and like how when he's riding with her on the motorcycle, him just spending the day with her, just their relationship. And we haven't even touched on Jesse. Like, what a fantastic actress she is.
She did such a good job. So relatable at the end. We didn't even touch on the ending, actually.
She's a great kid. Like, she's a great child actress.
Yeah.
And I felt like she was really selling all her moments, and just a little moment of where she was like, I don't think you're gonna love me as much. And it's like, that's a real thing that adoptive kids and, like, stepchildren have to deal with, is like, when a parent has a biological child along with their, adopted or just like child that they're married into. Like, it's a real thing that they have to deal with, the fact that, like, dealing with that, like on the emotional level. And I loved how they had Antonio go out of his way to be like, no, this is legit. I fucking love you so much. And the fact that he's choosing her and what that really means.
Yeah.
You know, like he's like, I chose your mom. I chose you. It's like, it's a big deal. And that's something that, you know,
it's one of the most heartwarming relationships in the film.
Yeah.
And then speaking of that, the ending, right? What do you guys think of the ending compared to, I guess, his other, you know?
Very emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does it compare?
Very emotional.
It was probably the saddest of the endings, which is weird to say because Gook had a very sad ending, but it felt like everything kind of just got, you know, the whole family got torn apart there.
Yeah, it literally ended on the shot with the hands, like, you know, they're holding on, getting apart.
Yeah.
And I think that it worked incredibly well with what they were trying to portray, you know, and there was a lot of showing like, hey, he's got all these people who are standing behind him, you know, an officer of the law, his wife, his his stepdaughter, I guess.
An ICE officer.
What?
An ICE officer too.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're called officers. But.
And you see just how horrible it is that this guy's getting deported. Like, there's so many people that don't think that he should be. All the people who are close to him, even people who their job is to enforce the law, especially the laws specifically saying that he can't be there, and they don't want to do it. Yeah.
I just love how much they portrayed people's circumstances and how they really shape them and everything. Which is where I guess my problem with the other Denny officer really was lacking. But everyone else, it's like,
a lot of depth.
Yeah, it's like he is like the kind of guy who's often just fingered by the media as being like, well, we can all agree these guys got to go, right? And it's like it's so much more complicated and nuanced than that.
Well,
it's like this guy was given really a shit hand. And he's kind of done the best that he can with it, and he's made mistakes, but he's trying to like, you know, redeem himself. But it's like, again, you just look at him on a piece of paper, and it's just like, nah, fuck that. Like that guy's gone. And a lot of people, especially in this country, would really like readily applaud that.
You know, I still think that Denny really worked as a character because his main point of as a character was to show that Ace, you know, to kind of highlight Ace's good qualities.
The problem is he's not really a character, though.
Well,
he's
more
device.
he's a plot device.
That's the problem. That's because it only hurts the movie. I think just with the context that this director is really good at depth and really good at seeing every side of a person and really good at backing up. Like, there's a lot of assholes in his movies, but you can, like, for the most part, except for him and also you could argue the rich Johnny. Most of his characters are very depthful, and you can kind of understand their perspectives. And for him, racist cop, which I understand is a real thing, and I understand that's a good amount of cops. But I'm just saying we don't see what made him into this. We don't see him. Yeah. We only see him as like a plot device a lot of the time.
Yeah, that's Denny's like a character that would be in a shitty action movie.
Yeah.
And be just like a throwaway character that's just there. But he serves a big purpose in this movie, and I think that's a flaw in the movie.
Well, I really still think that it was a good thing to show that ignorant racist cop who has no redeeming qualities, because they are out there. And then to juxtapose that with Ace, who, even though he has his flaws, deep down is a good person who believes in justice and believes in truth, and comes to the realization that no matter how much he's pissed off, you know, about the whole situation, Antonio's not a bad guy.
Yeah.
In reality, yeah.
Let's go. And I agree with that. Then he's, when we get to flaws, I think I'm mixed, because he does do his narrative purpose, and he does resemble a certain part of New Orleans that has this perspective. And I guess it's like the sacrifice he made, because the film's like under 2 hours, and probably, you know, there's only so much you could tell. You have to pick your poison. Yeah. And I guess he just did that as like the most effective way. So I don't have as much, but it's not a positive, but leaning towards flaw, but it's not as nearly as negative for me as for you guys. I guess the last couple of things just kind of wrap it up. Yeah, but yeah, the ending. No, the ending really tore me up when I watched it and stuff. So
Yeah, I
think
shed a tear. It was sad.
Yeah, that was definitely that was my favorite shot probably. The hand getting ripped apart and stuff like that, because it held on it for a long time. And I have my own experiences at the airport where I think the last time I saw my grandparents was at the airport, and as like a little kid I was doing the exact same thing, right? And it was actually like my grandpa didn't let go, I didn't let go, and then we had to be pulled apart. Not as quite as dramatic as this. We don't have two buff ICE guys, ripping us apart. But
I think one of them was a lady.
Yeah, I
to be
know.
clear.
Oh yeah, that's
It was
true.
a
It
buff
was a
lady.
It was kind of like she was pushing him too. Like it was like you can't.
Yeah,
look.
like they were kind of mean.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was pretty heartbreaking for me to watch that. And in performances, Justin Chon, fantastic, best performance he has ever done.
Oh,
Yeah.
I agree. I think his we haven't even really talked about like the fact that his accent, again, not from New Orleans. I don't really know if that's like as accurate, but it felt pretty authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just like went into his character. And Alicia Vikander,
She was great. She was
fantastic.
probably my favorite performance. She was
that one long take. Oh yeah, I didn't even talk about my second favorite shot.
yeah,
the long one take in the kitchen when they were talking and discussing.
You
and
could
stuff.
tell that was kind of improvised, but it worked. Like it just, I don't know. It just felt so natural and
it had just a
kept
great
coming,
chemistry.
but
Yeah. And on top of that, like
felt so
she
real.
fucking sing. That actually was a distracting part for me. Not gonna lie, where I was like when she started singing and then she got into the higher octave, because I know that song. I was like, oh, what the fuck? I was like, this is not a local girl from New Orleans. But yeah, that was also a touching moment. What do you guys think about that, by the way?
That was a great moment
I
in the
enjoyed
movie.
it. I thought
Very
that
sweet.
it was very transitional, at least at that point of the film. Where it was somber enough, and you could also just kind of. I don't know how to explain it, but it just worked at the moment in the film where they had it.
Yeah.
I think it worked really well with Justin Chon's performance as Antonio. He had this like little visual tick where his eye would kind of twitch
Yeah.
a bit, like in these like super like just these introspective moments where he's just like kind of
His back is,
soaking
like,
it
hunched a
in.
little bit too.
Yeah, and they did it a few times. I think that one was really well done. Is he's just kind of reflecting on everything, and just everything that's like kind of zipping through his mind.
Yeah. And Parker Lynn, that fan who played Parker, was also fantastic.
Yeah.
Like it's like performance all around pretty great. I mean, my one lean flaw when it comes to acting is the actress who plays Suzanne, because I think they were they had it
Who's
like
Suzanne, her mom.
Yeah, the mom. Yeah, like I said, that moment felt a little flat to me. Not gonna lie, because you could see that you could definitely tell she's like a local. They had a whole feature where he cast a lot of local. Like I think the first female black tattoo artist was the boss, and she she was she is the New Orleans. So they just casted her as that, and she just like improv her dialogue or something.
Sweet.
So they should have casted Margot Martindale as the mom.
Oh
not
my
gonna
God.
lie, that would have been perfect actually. I
She
think that
would have
would've
done
been
a great
perfect.
job.
Margot Martindale.
She is amazing.
I actually think that would have been perfect casting. Not gonna lie, because for a moment like he pulls all the weight, she doesn't. But yeah. Oh wait, I was called. This is like been going on pretty long. Let's it called. Do you guys want to kind of wrap up our thoughts? Ron? You want to go first?
Yeah, I think overall, like it's technically brilliant, visually just really compelling, and just I love the whole dreamlike, like interpretation what am I trying to say? The approach to make it like very like surreal at certain moments. Fantastic performances. I'd definitely put it on the shelf. It's up there for me.
What?
It's my second favorite by him. It's good. I like a lot of it. I ironically find him better when he's not focused on narrative, like in his other two movies. But it's good. It's probably his technically best movie on a technical level. It's good. Definitely going to be on the shelf. Definitely want to watch it again soon.
What else?
I think that this really was a good follow-up to his other two movies, and it helped to show just how good he is, especially with child actors, writing and directing them, because you see so many movies where you have bad child actors, or not even necessarily bad child actors, but ones that aren't given good direction. And I think that he does bring something to the table, because you can find a lot of really deep emotional stuff from all of the performances from child actors that he has had so far. And then extending on that, just in general, I see a very bright future for Justin Chon.
Yes.
Yeah, he seems like he knows what he's doing when it comes to film. He's got that very unique style that's going to stick around. He's not just another cookie cutter, Marvel filmmaking person.
Unless Marvel, you never know. You never know. You never know.
Fine, I would watch a Justin Chon Marvel film probably.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, but
he's like, I want to shoot a 16mm film. Okay, you're fired.
Yeah,
It'd be about how like these movies are too depressing, man.
Yeah.
Because I feel there's enough levity and hope in all his films. For me, it doesn't go into misery porn. But go on.
What's your rating?
Oh, my rating. Sorry, I thought I had already given that. It goes on the shelf. Not quite in the museum, but I did really enjoy this movie. I think it would be worth watching again. And if they come out with an extended cut, I would be down to watch that because I feel like there is room for other developmental scenes that he may or may not have shot. I don't know, but yeah.
So I would put it on the shelf as well. I think it's his best, obviously, on a technical level, but also his best performance, except for Twilight. And
right. That was a masterclass of acting.
Yeah.
The way he flipped his hair and the hair bangs covered one of his
It's really
eyes.
Unrecognizable. Like in a lot of
I honestly don't even remember him in Twilight. I just
he's just there. He's
the Asian guy.
The Asian friend. Yeah.
Cool. Good for him. But again, so as of right now, I've seen 3 of his films and I've liked them all. But he does seem to have a trend to his movies. And I would like to see him branch out a little bit and try something other than a sad, depressing drama. I would like to see him maybe, I don't know, do anything really. Do a horror movie, do a thriller, do something else. I want to see how he could do with that. But until then, I'm very excited for what he's doing next.
We'll be watching his career with great interest.
Apple TV has a Apple TV. He has an Apple TV series plus about pachinko, about a Korean woman that went to Japan with the pachinko machines and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a very famous amongst the Korean community and stuff like that. And I know Apple's like putting all their fucking money into it or something.
Right on.
To try to get the.
Seem to be putting
Asian
a lot
audience.
of their money into a lot of things.
Dude, $200 million for a Scorsese historical like crime film?
What?
Yeah, I'm like, wow, good for you, Tim Cook. Yeah, but all right, for this one, it's hard because it's the best technical film. I wouldn't say if it's okay. I definitely prefer the aesthetic for Miss Purple, but I do technically on like what he does is unreal, surreal what he does with some of the camera work, and for the smallest budget too. And performances are just top notch. But the only thing that does hold me back is that it did receive criticism regarding kind of like the somewhat indelicate handling or like an over dramatization of especially when it comes to pulling in the heartstrings. And I could definitely see that, especially like some of the moments it does a little swell a little too much with music, and it does like try to really pull at the heartstrings a little too much. And the one incident we talked about with Denny beating up, the guy was, like I said, it was quick and fast, but I get what happened. So those elements kind of pulled it back, and the controversy surrounding the film and Adam Krasper's statement doesn't really affect my opinion as much. But once again, it's inspired. But I do think that maybe Justin needs to respond to this somewhat and just tackle this because it was taking a lot. So overall, I put this on the shelf. The only one that's not on the museum of his films. It's my least favorite, but I still love it quite a bit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right on.
I will say, Justin Chon's face and Antonio LeBlanc. Never before have I wanted to shave another man's face so bad.
yeah.
There's so many times where they're just so close on his face. I'm like, dude, just shave off the side of your beard. It's just not working, man.
Yeah.
No, you can rock the goatee. Also, trim your mustache, man.
I agree.
But I was like, I just want to fix your face a little bit.
But that's like the look that he was going for.
Yeah.
There's a song I like called
works.
"Fix Your Face." It's by Dillinger Escape Plan.
Okay.
Thank you guys for another episode. This was a longer one. Definitely a little hits hard.
Yeah, we're really hitting our stride with 3 movies an episode here.
Yeah.
There was so much to
And a
talk
full
about.
season of
Yeah.
television.
All right, what's it called? Thank you guys to another episode. This is Half a Clue movie review.
Yeah, appreciate
like
you guys listening in.
Half a Clue
Please like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. Show us
movie
some love.
review.
Do you
Also,
have a
follow us
favorite
on
film of his?
Instagram. Follow us on Instagram to get polls.
Watch
about,
a movie
we want to know what you think about these films too.
Yeah.
as you sit on your ass.
Yeah, leave a comment. Let us know.
Also, how do you guys listen to us most of the time? I'm very curious to see. Do you guys listen to us while you're at work, while you're driving? Well, what do you guys do? How do you get your fix?
And also leave in the comments your ratings for the movies that we talked about.
Tell us how you think our outfits
Yeah.
look.
Yeah.
Feel free to give us your own rating system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
write
you
us
give
a new
a
one, to be
rating,
honest.
yeah, if
And
you give
beef-
us a rating that we like, we might add it to our list of ratings.
Yeah,
We got
even-
like what 20 now.
Even if you want to come up with a new theme song, just let us know. You know.
Yeah,
Half a
I
Clue,
chose
boo,
that
boo.
song in 0.5 seconds. So
I don't love it. to be
neither do
honest.
I, but I think I was just
so
I
out
was
there,
tired and I'm like, fuck it, I'm finishing this.
any musicians out there that want to write a song for us, just
Half
do
a
it.
clue.
we
Half a clue. Half a clue. Go, 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 go.
Shy's working on one for us. We'll have
Oh,
one
cool.
soon.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
Thank you
We'll
guys.
see.
New
Yeah.
song coming. You heard it
Eventually.
here first.
Eventually.
Au revoir.
Dexter.
Goodbye.
Yeah, watch our Dexter
Watch
episodes.
your Dexter
They're fun.
episodes.
Yeah.
They are fun.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
That whole series
Yep.
goes in the museum,
No, it doesn't.
especially the late seasons.
All right, well, thanks a lot for listening.
Don't trust
We'll be
Blake.
back next week.
Bye.
Au revoir.